G&T show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Star Trek: The Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the G&T show. Our continuing mission: to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to boldly go where no show has gone before.
Naomi Wildman. I was setting it up. Oh. Welcome to the G&T show, where obviously we have no script.
Yeah, let's just get this puppy started.
As always, the beautiful, the lovely, the high-booted, short-skirted, big-breasted Terry Lynn.
That would be me. Admiral Shaw.
She's badass. It's Ceridian.
Good morning. It's Sunday on the G&T show.
You know the worst part of this morning? It's not the getting up early. It's the fact they're making me wear clothes to do the show.
It's time for Coffee Clutch.
Strap on your helmets, boys and girls. It's gonna get rough.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those mornings.
Let me put on my seatbelt, my helmet with the little blinky light on top.
For safety.
When we decided we were going to do the G&T show, one of the things we said was no standards. G&T show does not go on the air because we're ready. It goes on the air because it's 9 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Mike could have snapped by then and killed us both. Pain sticks for Mike, evidently.
We have our production meetings on the air.
Well, it's the best way to get you to adhere to things.
Yeah, you've now set an expectation. That's the thing about the G&T show is we set no expectations.
I need more coffee.
Wow,
I'm trying to figure out whether or not I want to do general news or Star Trek news, and I figured
this is Terry having a series of small strokes, actually.
Well, it doesn't take long for this show to deteriorate, does it?
Straight the fuck downhill.
I don't always podcast, but when I do, I G&T.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the G&T Show, episode 177. I'm Terry Lynn.
Sup? That's her.
Sup?
That's Terry. She's over there. You know what she's doing? She's testing our balls to make sure they're inflated properly.
I have standards, mister.
So
you know what I learned? You know what I learned during the press conferences? Tom Brady likes soft, squishy balls.
Exactly right.
There she is to my left, your right, playing with our balls. It's Terry. And to our right, your left, there he is, looking quizzically, Ceridian.
Kapla! Hey, it takes a lot of work to deflate a ball.
No, it really doesn't. Just a little.
No, I was going to say, not if somebody knows what they're doing.
I'm Klingon. Do you think I really know what I'm doing?
He has a point.
I mean, the hard part's trying not to pop them. The cock just does not work very well.
What? What'd you say?
I don't know. That was weird.
What?
What did you say?
I said the cock does not work very well.
Okay. I thought you said... Never mind.
Never mind. Yep. Run away, Nick. Run away.
Okay.
Good morning, you two. How was your week? Let's start Coffee Clutch with some fun. So tell me what fun you had this week. I don't want to hear about bad work and boringness. I want to hear, what did you watch? What did you like? What did you hear?
Fucking Arrow.
Ah?
Did you see it yet, Mike?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh my God.
I don't remember it, but I saw it.
Well, let me just say that Laurel as Black Canary is hilarious. Just because, like, she's in the middle of doing something and she slips and falls and she, like, looks around to make sure nobody notices because she knows she's out of her depth. It's just, but it makes me miss Sarah.
Oh, that's what that tweet was about.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I miss Sarah. But no, I love what they're doing with it. And interesting thing happened. I tweeted something in the Arrow Writers Room. They have their own tweet account. They favorited it, but didn't answer.
Yeah.
Because I said, so now we've got Black Canary, Katana, the punk girl who probably is Starling, and Huntress. Are we going to see Birds of Prey on Arrow? And they favorited it.
They favorited it. Oh, that would be cool.
Oh, God.
That would be
Swing!
Cool. Swing.
Now, I have to say, something bad, but yet something good happened on Tuesday.
Oh?
I fell asleep and missed Agent Carter. But I fell asleep at 9 o'clock and didn't wake up till 7 o'clock the next morning.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So for me...
That's huge.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, I loved
have
it.
to watch
Agent Carter was great. It was good to see it come back. You know, it was off for a week for the State of the Union address.
Yeah, and really they shouldn't have canceled it. They could have just still played it.
Yeah, I know. This website's going to drive me crazy here in a second. Poor Mike knows what I'm understanding, what I'm going through right now. Hold on. There's a website that has an automatic playing video, and I have to wait for an ad to stop, and so I can hit stop on the video.
You can go ahead and just close the video. I've got the link saved, so I'll just pop in the link.
I can't close the video.
The page.
Oh, you've got it?
Yeah.
Well, I need to look at it.
Oh.
There. I need to look. I kind of have to read what I'm talking about. Well, either way, Agent Carter was awesome. I will then try not to give away spoilers. But it was definitely an episode which was exposition. It's been action, but this was the one that kind of moved all of the plots forward. So there's and left us with quite a bit of
so the bishops are being moved around the board.
In a big way. And we find out something unique about her next door neighbor in the apartment complex that she lives in, the all women's apartments.
The new blonde.
The new blonde. We hear something. We learn something.
I figured Angie was not everybody. Angie, no, but as soon as that woman moved in, I pegged.
Yeah, and you were right.
I still love Angie. I think
Angie's adorable. I mean, she's really adorable.
Legs. Oh, those legs.
And so he's her next door neighbor. I don't even know what the new girl. I don't know what her new name is. And
new girl, that's her name.
Yeah, new girl. Let's just say she's got some serious Black Widow ninja skills. And has no problems dumping bodies under her dining room table. And
it happens.
It happens. Howard Stark does come back in this episode, so you see him, and he and Peggy have a fight.
Come to Jesus meeting.
Yeah, real big come to Jesus meeting, because she finds out that one of the quote unquote weapons, or one of his devices that was stolen, that she recovered back from the SSR, I am going to be a spoiler here, was a vial of Steve Rogers' blood. So she thinks that he wants to use it to make a profit. So she keeps it and tells him to go stick it. And then she hides it, and then and so as far as you're concerned, at the end of this episode, she is hold on, the stupid video, darn it. As far as she's concerned, she and Howard have parted ways. And the previews for next week shows that she's getting the Commandos back together, and they go.
Oh God, I love that.
I know.
Neil McDonough. Did they show him? Is he in it?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that guy.
I do too. It's gonna be great.
Now, a question for you.
Yeah.
The writing of Agent Carter, the writing of even Arrow, like with Sarah, Black Canary, which I know you don't watch, but I think you've picked up enough to know. What do they have in common compared to some other stuff? Why they are better than other shows?
Wait, as far as like Agent Carter and the writing, well, again, for me, it's what is it about Flash and the DC stuff that people are really liking right now? Even Gotham, although I can't watch Gotham just because it tips that edge for me, but everybody else loves it. They're writing for character first, right?
Why tips what edge?
Oh, for violence for me.
Really?
Yeah, Gotham tipped the edge. I can't watch it. I haven't watched it since episode 3.
But Agent Carter doesn't?
No. Maybe it's because it's the evil tension that goes with it. I mean, it's dark. Gotham is fucking dark.
It is dark. It is very dark, but it's Gotham.
Right. And that's why I'm not giving it any shit. It's just one that's probably the reason why I will never watch it. It's just because there's an edge that it tips on into darkness that I just can't handle.
But
so the ninja skills are showing in our chat room right now, which is awesome.
If you took Agent Carter
and
replaced her with Agent Mikey, or if you took Sarah and replaced her with Johnny, there wouldn't be a difference. That's what these writing teams all have down. They're not writing for, we have to make her a female. They're writing for, we have to make her a character.
Right. And even through in Agent Carter, even though she's facing the same kind of discriminatory issues that women did and still do, if they had changed those discriminatory practices to say, like her partner or one of her coworkers who has the bad leg, right? He took he has the bad leg. He suffers as well. He and Peggy are going through the same thing. They're both being looked at down the noses of their coworkers because they are less than what the rest of them are considered to be whole.
And I don't think Agent Carter would ring. One of the things that makes it so great is how true it rings, and to take away way that, hey, can you get me a coffee doll, would remove some of the realism. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that people were like that, but it's how it was. I mean,
that's exactly how it was. And it is good. It is good because it's also, it sounds stupid and sad, but it's education. Oh, it's good because it's educational, because there's still a couple of generations of kids who do not understand that's how women and blacks and handicaps were treated.
You ever watch Twitter during Agent Carter? Because people go nuts when they say things like, can you get that for me, honey? And they're like, oh, I can't believe they called. And they're not doing it to upset you. They're doing it because it's real.
Right. Yeah. All right. So with Agent Carter, kind of that. So I really enjoyed it. What I like about it too is that they're writing it to where, especially with some of the people in the SSR, you're not exactly sure who is trustworthy, you know what I mean? Because you already know. People were always afraid when Agent Carter came around that because you knew that Peggy survives, right? Because if you've watched Captain America, you know that Peggy survives to her old age, that it would somehow deflate tension. And far from it. I think it's helping build, Hydra's out there, right? And you know that Hydra has infected S.H.I.E.L.D. But how, and you always wanted to know, how did that happen? And I'm wondering whether or not it happens
early
on. Yeah.
Even before S.H.I.E.L.D.
Even before S.H.I.E.L.D. And this is kind of where I'm like, ooh, could he be Hydra? Ooh, could she be Hydra? It's actually really fun. So I'm having a good time. They
just need to leave my Angie, leave her being the doll that she is.
Well, they may not. You never know, right?
I know. One thing about the Marvel Universe on film and TV is they're not afraid to shake things up.
Yeah, that's very true. Speaking of shaking things up in the Marvel Universe, I'm going to get rid of this damn link now because it's not Star Trek news. It's just kind of general information news that came out yesterday. Apparently, Fox is going to Marvel and asking them to greenlight their ability to start a live action series of the X-Men.
Television series?
Yes. And it would be produced by Evan Katz and Manny Coto.
Oh, Manny Coto.
Uh-huh. And for our listeners, if you do not know, these are two gentlemen that were responsible for the most recent or the last season of 24, and also Manny Coto's wonderful involvement in the final season of Enterprise. So,
the good one.
Yeah, the good one. But apparently Hollywood Reporter obtained several pieces of information claiming that the network's in the early stages of negotiations with Marvel in the hopes of getting the green light so they can bring their characters in X-Men to the small screen.
Interesting line here. If Marvel agrees to bring X-Men TV, the script will be written by Star Trek 3 writing partners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay,
who were just fired from Star Trek 3. Isn't that interesting?
I prefer X-Men as an animated show just because of the powers and everything, but that's me. I'm not saying it can't be done well, because as we know it can be, but I just think animation is better for the X-Men. I know there would be people that disagree with me.
There's going to be budget concerns, I'm sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
But
yeah.
I just think it would be better served if you watch Wolverine and the X-Men or the Amazing X-Men cartoons. They were phenomenal.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Well, that's I don't know what the video is, but that's that the neighbor. That's when she goes. Okay, there's a German who's outside Peggy's door, and he has an automatic, almost like a mini Gatling gun, right? So it's got and she looks at him and she goes, "Hey, mister." That's the look on her face. She goes, "Is that an automatic?" And he looks at her and he goes, get back in your room, little girl. And she looks, she goes, "I want that." And that's when she does the whole big ninja spider thing and puts her legs around his head and then tears it off with her thighs. It's pretty trippy.
Hey,
some guys pay for that.
Thank you, Mike. I self-edited. Did you notice?
But it still needed to be said. So,
for our listeners, somebody put a picture of the of Peggy's neighbor, and it's got that very kind of psychotic look, the expression on her face is very funny. It's very odd. So yeah, I really enjoyed Agent Carter this week. A lot of exposition, a lot of plot movement, and we only have 4 episodes left. Not even. I think 3 episodes. And then
Terry, you'll be
S.H.I.E.L.D. comes
interested
back.
to know that. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Sky will be back, and the world will be right.
Or very fucked up. You never know.
No, if Sky's on the TV, things are good.
All right.
Arrow has been very interesting because how often do you see a main character with a sword plunged through his body and he falls off a cliff for the mid-season finale?
Mid-season finale. And a producer or a director or a producer who has said they are not using the Leviathan or the Lazarus Pit. That he won't come back that way.
And they did not. They did not.
So, yeah.
There was something else that took place,
Ooh.
which I really liked a lot.
Okay, good.
It's very strong. But I liked it because when you have a series built, named after a character, but the episodes like that where the rest of the team is the highlight, you know what I mean? And to see for what he does when he's not around.
So we do have a Marshawn Lynch in the chat room. Does he have a comment?
Hey, yeah, whoever that is took my thing because that's all I was going to say all day.
All day. I'm just here so I won't be fine. Well, then why don't we get to some Star Trek news? Star Trek news? I am so proud to be a talkie geek.
We've got our problems with the film, which we'll get into on our dopey little podcast and nitpick it to death.
Star Trek news?
So congratulations to the always dreamy David Mack. There's Legos?
No. Star Trek news?
Yes, the story behind the story. The movie that never was made.
They got a Klingon!
I know.
Sold.
Klingon! That's right! I'm gonna throw in a Buck Mackay rookie guard! That's right! A Buck Mackay rookie! People, it doesn't get any bigger than this!
Star Trek news? All right. I want to talk a little bit about.
Do you?
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit. Apparently, StarTrek.com has reported that Bill Shatner is coming back as the negotiator. He just couldn't say, Priceline's negotiator.
Priceline.
You kind of have to laugh about that. Because wasn't he pretty adamant that he was going to be leaving and he'd be gone? And I don't know. I guess money talks.
Priceline negotiator.
I have to say, I don't hate them. They make me laugh. The negotiator ads make me laugh. And I think that Priceline is smart for keeping him as a, what do you call him?
Spokesperson.
Spokesman.
Thank you. God, the word just went right out of my head. Yes, with that sound effect too.
I also love his chemistry with Kaylee Kawako.
Oddly enough,
Hotels.com.
Oddly enough, although he could by all rights be her grandfather. But whatever. I always thought it was kind of creepy.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a little creepy.
He's still younger than Larry King with his kids, so,
No, that's true. That is very true.
I am Larry King. I'm a walking cadaver at this point. San Antonio, are you on the line?
All right. Well, StarTrek.com also brought up this who wore it best Vulcan style, but it was very short, but it was very funny. Talking about just the costuming really in the original series, and there's some funny ass shit. And this was it. Okay, so Rose McGowan, the always fashion forward former star of Charmed, appeared at the Fashion Los Angeles Awards last week, decked out in an all black ensemble complemented by one particularly fascinating accessory, a bright purple felt cap in the shape of a jagged bob haircut. I'm not exactly sure. All she said was, I'm officially starting my awesome hat week. Tonight was 1930s Vulcan. And I kind of had to laugh, and I thought it was kind of adorable. Although I thought it looked more Romulan helmet. Tell me I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh no! Well, no. You know what, Terry? Go back to Amok Time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All the guards that were there and everything. But you're right. It does look more Romulan.
It does. It struck me as more Romulan. That's all. I just like.
I love
although
that
I give her
she's wearing.
Kind of cool. Blood red, like bent blood red. Only scientists. Okay. Sorry. Now, I picked up a new book week. Did you? See, now we're supposed to be talking about books.
Books. There are
What's
these
a book?
bound things with paper and words.
I've heard tales of the dead tree format, but I don't believe them. No, you're wrong. They're this thing that you put on your Kindle.
Amazon ebook. If you haven't bought it, I will cunt punch you. That's a great line.
It's a good line.
Do you read Star Trek novels?
I'm sure Swallow has some stories he could tell us.
I love big books and I can't lie.
That's one of the really good things in life. To me, as long as it's enjoyable to read.
That's a good book. Wasn't it a good book, Mike?
It was.
That's because Mackenzie Calhoun is badass.
No, it is not a Cardassian generational epic.
I was like in heaven.
It's really good.
Right on. Oh.
I haven't started to read it yet, though.
Oh.
Well, it's got
What did you pick up? What did you pick up?
Star Trek The Next Generation Takedown.
Right on.
Yeah, it's let me pull it up on my iPad. It's also on Amazon. Don't forget to use the GNT link. But it's John Jackson Miller. It's a novel of Star Trek The Next Generation called Takedown. And I'm very excited to read this because this is the one where they kind of pit Riker against Picard. Picard is none too happy with his new admiral.
Speaking of which, Janice is now watching TNG from the beginning.
Oh.
So
I'm sorry for season 1, Janice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, you'll like because we were talking last night and she was like, okay, I'm going to go watch some TNG. I was like, okay. I was like, what episode are you up to? She's like, episode 13. I was like, Angel 1? She was like, yeah, and I just started laughing. I was like, oh, Riker. That's the shirt.
That's the shirt. That is the shirt.
God, season 1 was horrifying.
That's pretty painful. I admit, it's pretty painful. Did anybody... I have to find a way to get the G&T show link to the Amazon purchase area for Takedown. And if anybody knows how to do that right, that would be awesome.
The link?
But the G&T link. There's like a special link, right, Mike?
You go to support us, and then it scrolls down, and you'll see Amazon.
I know. I'm working on it, Terry. I've got a little.
God,
Thank you,
if
honey.
I could figure, Terry, if I could figure it out, come on.
Well, I'm doing well.
I'm like the Keanu.
See, no,
Reeves.
my problem isn't. It was making sure that I didn't actually close my window with the chat room in it. Well, there you go. That's kind of nice. Look at that. Oh my gosh! And speaking of Marvel stuff, did you see the new subscription box thing they have?
Do they have one?
Yes. Here, I think I have the link for it.
That whole
Marvel
Nerd
Collector
Box,
Core.
all of that is just like taking off.
But think about it from a merchandising standpoint. It's brilliant. So it's $25 a box, and you get 6 boxes in a year. So every other month, each box will contain a T-shirt, a vinyl collectible, and 2 premium accessories. So the vinyl pop, it's all put together by Funko. I just think it's very, very cool.
Right on.
And then the sneak peek is the 6-inch Hulkbuster vinyl pop.
I'm hearing the Mighty Marvel Marching Society song in my head now.
I just thought it was really cool. And I wish that Star Trek would do something like that. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Well,
wouldn't
and
that be awesome?
The beautiful thing of this, and Terry, you know this because you eat, right?
Yeah.
Things that you may not necessarily want if it's not your bag. You know, everybody's got birthdays and Christmas and all of that during the year.
That's
so
exactly
these
right.
are quality things that can be repurposed.
Absolutely. And most of them are going to be exclusive just to that.
Right.
So even more so. The only way you're going to be able to get them is like from Loot Crate or from the Collector Core now.
That's like when you know somebody that goes to San Diego Comic-Con, you say, hey, can you, whatever they have for, you know.
Can you pick up the Hallmark ornaments?
Yeah.
I know. It's awesome, and I really wish that CBS could do something along those lines because I would subscribe in a heartbeat. I would actually get rid of my loot box and go and just dump it for Star Trek.
Look at you!
I would, although I still have some kind of a pencil with a chainsaw on it for you.
A pencil with a chainsaw.
It's got some kind of a chain. It's some kind of a Walking Dead thing. I don't know.
Nice.
So, but it's very, very cool. So that's my desire is to see something like Marvel's Collector Core just for Star Trek. Because think about how much stuff you could get and how much they could put down and how many partnerships they could create, right? I mean, do a Bye Bye Robot. They could do like a little mini poster or something like that to put in there, or I don't know. Here I am giving them ideas again. What can I do?
Well, we've got several NFL players now posting in our chat room. Christ, they made me forget what I was going to say.
We're talking about giving ideas to CBS for Star Trek toys stuff. And in the Star Trek collectibles, the Star Trek ships, they now have their own website. They still have their Facebook page where you work with their customer service agents through Eagle Moss on their website, on their Facebook page. But they are now expanding into doing other things other than Star Trek. So they have created their own website, and it's kind of cool. I'm happy for them.
Terry, I have a mini rant.
Go for it.
And I don't know if Ross was joking or not, but he said Super Bowl with a question mark.
Oh,
which
he's just pulling your leg.
No, I know. But on Twitter and Facebook this week, I've seen a lot of, I would say, almost double digits of people that I know and respect who are some of the biggest geeks out. I don't mean that as a pejorative. I mean it as a positive. Who say things like, oh, all this talk about sports or, oh, sports ball. Do you realize that when you do that, you're sounding just as bad as the people that go, oh, comic books, oh, Star Trek. You're just being as bad as those that rag on the geeks.
Don't be dismissive. I agree.
It drives me nuts. There's one person in particular that is always very vocal in, oh, you're bagging on geek culture and you're doing this, but they were like, oh, evidently there's a sports ball game this week. And I was like, do you know how stupid you look? Because it's only one of the most popular things in the world is the Super Bowl, and yet you're going to be like, oh, I understand there's a sports ball game this week. No, Ross, I know you were, but there's people, it's the same people that do it every year. And it's almost like a holier than thou attitude.
I don't disagree. I was just what is it? What's the rule? Don't be a dick.
Then Sunsail's up on her high horse now. I don't give a damn about being dismissive of concussion mongers. Well, then you ought to be against baseball and hockey and every sport there is, because they all concussions, except for
I like sports. I can't. Yeah, I won't deny.
Oh,
I'm a big sports fan. Of what?
What's
sport?
The one that I'm thinking of.
There's soccer, hockey.
No, the of all the sports in the world with the stone that you push down the ice.
Curling.
I don't think there's many curling concussions.
Well, there are, because most curling involves alcohol.
Good point.
I'm just telling you, after
ice is slippery.
Ice is slippery, and booze makes you stupid. And it's the funniest fucking sport I've ever played. I love it.
And there's probably more bowling concussions than we ever knew about.
It's just, curling is like bowling on steroids. It's awesome. I love curling. I love curling so hard. I do. We used to play it when I was little, right? I took ice skating lessons, and then after the ice skating lessons is when they opened up the curling lanes, and that's when they opened up the bar too. Ooh.
Do you know I played hockey and I played defense, and I could never skate backwards. I'm dead serious.
No, you were very effective, weren't you?
I was an enforcer. I was.
Oh, you were like Dave Tiger Williams. I love that.
I was like Ogie Oglethorpe.
Oh, Alan, it's Alan. Alan, have you ever been hit by a curling stone? Oi, those things are fucking heavy. I'm just saying.
Once, and I paid for it. Hello.
And they roll over your toes, and they oh man, I'm just telling you, there's an awful lot of amateur curling injuries.
The people that do the brooms with the carpal tunnel,
And brooms they've made such technological advancements now. It's so funny, because the brooms that we had when we were young, they were fucking brooms, man.
Yeah,
they had bristles on them.
Right?
Yeah, they had bristles. It was funny. Oh, I just aged myself yet again. All right, let's get to some Star Trek convention news, because there's been some announcements. Good thing. Da-da-da. Shall we just start right off the bat with a Las Vegas update?
Are we still talking Vegas, right?
We are.
Talking about Vegas.
Yes.
You're coming to Vegas, right?
Star Trek Las Vegas may take place every August, but on this show...
This is where we hang out the rest of the year.
Exactly.
The crew has been fatigued now from so many months in space, and they need to take a break. The landing party has been down to check out the terrain while the crew gets ready to play. They say there's only plant life living on this lovely rock, but a rodent appears wearing a vest.
All right. So who has been announced? Well, Carl Urban is coming back.
And ovaries exploded across the land.
Across the universe, the ovary exploded. And quite a few, testicles as well.
Terry, we have to talk about this because this is kind of a Star Trek thing.
Okay.
Sunsail says she's going to sit on her high horse dismissing competition in competitive sports. What's wrong with competition?
I don't know. I do love it. And
I don't understand. Competition, taking part in competition, you know what? If it wasn't for competition, let's put it to Star Trek. Look at Picard when he wasn't being competitive, what he turned into when he was afraid to take chances.
I don't disagree. And it's not like competition doesn't exist in Star Trek because they still have sports. And some pretty nasty ones, too, from what I can figure out.
Oh, Parisi squares.
Parisi squares, man.
Just the outfit that you have to wear.
Okay, it's very odd, but Alan, if you want to, where did the fog come from? Because I can't see out the front window. So weird.
Now John Carpenter music starts playing.
That's great. Yeah, really.
You put the dogs out and all of a sudden you hear...
All right.
So put Casey up at Chloe.
So Carl Urban's been announced. The rolling down back to this about Tracy, but Andrew, Richard Poe, Aaron Eisenberg, Anthony Montgomery has been added to the list. Anthony Montgomery, of course, played Ensign Mayweather on Enterprise, and he's also just a sweet, wonderful guy.
When he stops Garrett's. And it's always fun when he stops by Gert's booth.
Yeah. And he's a great guy. He's also the writer for a graphic novel called Miles Away, which involves a young African-American superhero, wonderful character named Miles. I also happen to have an autographed copy of Miles Away #1 that we're going to be giving away in the near future. I'm trying to figure out, we have a whole bunch of stuff we have to give away, guys. So I'm looking for, we're still looking for good ideas on contests. But I have it's an autographed copy of Anthony Montgomery's Miles Away that we need to give out. Kate Vernon was also announced. Kate Vernon played Commander Valerie Archer, which she was really an Undine in 8472, pretending to be Commander Valerie Archer. Remember that in Star Trek Voyager episode In the Flesh?
Yes, I'm a huge Kate
Vernon
fan.
Wasn't she in Battlestar Galactica?
Yes, she was. She was a major part of it.
And she played Ellen Tigh, right? We have to have her on, right? We're trying to get her on one of our supplemental logs.
Don't tease me, because there was a show she was on in the 90s that I'll mention to her that I think would make her squee that somebody remembers.
Cool.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. Yeah. No. I think she actually already said okay. I just have to schedule it. Sorry.
Can you see the look?
Yeah. I'm getting the stink eye from Maryland right now, everybody.
Brett, I agree.
What did he say?
He said she was hot.
She was always
what a set of gams.
Okay. I'll set the date. I'm sorry, Miss Vernon. We'll get you on the show. Mm-hmm. She's very, very kind.
And she was big. She was one of those people that you saw a lot, like in the 90s and such, guest starring on sitcoms and stuff.
Right. Now, although she's making the appearance at Star Trek Convention as her Valerie Archer, because that's what her tie is, her unofficial tie is she's also involved in Star Trek Axanar.
Yes.
So,
well, Brad, I'd like to.
We'd like to be able to talk to her about that as well. And then, of course, the good news is the Klingons will be back at Star Trek Las Vegas. Both J.G. Hertzler and Robert O'Reilly have signed up, so they will be appearing as well. So, yay! Don't forget, Star Trek Convention is 4 days long this year. It will be 5 days next year for the 50th anniversary, but this year, in 2005, it will be August 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Rio Hotel and Casino.
Also,
yes,
Terry, I wanna give a shout out that February 13th, 14th, and 15th in Timonium, Maryland, Baltimore, Farpoint Convention's taking place, and Tim Russ is going to be there.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. Is he going to be performing as well, or is he just appearing?
He's a guest.
He's a guest. Okay. I wasn't sure if the band was coming too.
But it's no. But remember, Farpoint is the one where I spent 6 hours at the bar with John Billingsley. So it's like that small a convention.
Right.
So as long, just people, convention etiquette, if you're somewhere, just remember if it's a small con like that, give them the respect and the space, and if they, don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Number one rule.
And the
Don't
Salt
be a
Lake
dick.
City, the Salt Lake, what is it, the Salt Lake Comic Con
the
or
Salt
Fan
Lake
Expo
Comic-Con.
or whatever is going on, and that's a huge one.
It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It really
Every
is. It's
year
getting very
it seems
large.
to grow.
Yeah. Well, it draws. Let's face it, Salt Lake City is probably one of the larger cities, just west of the Rockies, and it can pull from all of the mountain states.
I was going to say it's pulling from all the north.
Even New Mexico, it's not that difficult to get, right? You just cut through the four corners. So everybody kind of west of Denver and Montana, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, it can pull and easily and cheaply. It's not that expensive to fly to Salt Lake from any one of those midway points.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because the first year that I went to STLV and I surprised you, I connected through that airport.
Yeah, you connect.
It's a beautiful airport.
If you're flying, it's a great little and boy is it busy because I think it's a Delta hub, and it really from like Albuquerque to Salt Lake City, I think you can.
Yeah, because I
it's
went
like $70. Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
I went Minnesota to Salt Lake City. Oh my God, that trip was amazing. Now that I think about it, I went Minnesota to Salt Lake City to Vegas.
Well, at least you didn't have to worry about winter. So is Michael still with us? He's been very quiet.
He is.
I'm here.
Okay.
I think he had to do a deuce. Nothing, Mike?
I refuse to dignify that with a net response.
You're a smart man. You are a smart man.
What the deuce?
Mike, you have
Black Magnum's here. What's going on?
Mike, you have some links that you wanted we can touch on too, right?
Sure.
Great. I put him
First
in
up,
yeah.
Star Trek actress Celeste, thank you. Celeste Yarnall. She has a GoFundMe going on right now to help her fund her cancer treatment. So if you can contribute, please do. If you're an attendee at Vegas, she's always there. So our thoughts and prayers and well wishes are going out to her and her family.
I guess she was diagnosed with a rare and very aggressive form of cancer in abdominal and uterine ovarian cancer in November. So she's in the very throes of chemotherapy, and a lot of those copay costs are very, very expensive. She has asked for help, and so they've started a GoFundMe page. So if you have a little bit to help her out, that would be great. She's a very sweet lady.
Such a sweetie. She's very popular at the con too.
Yeah. In a product news type of thing, Roddenberry.com, they have a tricorder prop replica available. It's a chunk of change, but it looks really great. It's a TNG era tricorder. Comes with a beautiful stand, a little pocket case. I mean, it looks
chunk
awesome.
of change is an understatement. Oh my God.
Yeah. $500.
Yeah, but it looks
top quality,
amazing, though.
It really does.
So,
I saw the prototype for this at Roddenberry's booth at the convention last year. And let me tell you, the thing weighs probably 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds. It's all metal. And it has the lights. They do light up. It's a beefy piece of equipment. And it even has the belt pocket. Like anybody had a belt in Star Trek. I don't get it. It's very funny. But it's a very lovely piece. I'm glad they finally got it out on the market because you couldn't order it last year.
Anthony, for $500, you better make me a grilled cheese sandwich.
Amen, my brother. Amen, my brother.
And it better use good cheese.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I saw it and I was like, holy cow, that's beautiful.
It's really
even the stand is amazing.
I love the inscription, the signature on the stand.
Yeah.
What does it say? I can't read it.
Roddenberry.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's very, very, very pretty. So yeah. Also,
so
finally,
if you have FU money, there you go.
Yeah. This little tidbit came from Facebook. If you're not following our good friend of the show, Scott Pearson, why the hell not? Do it.
Yeah, no kidding.
But he's just announced last night, I believe it was last night, that Crisis of Consciousness, which is a Star Trek original series novel by Dave Galantner.
Dave, who's been Mike? He's been on the show a couple of years ago. I did a supplemental with him for from Farpoint.
Right on. Well, Scott Pearson was editor on this. He copy edited this book. So look for it soon. And the rest I have is Stowe news. So if there's anything else you need to talk about, let's do that first.
I want to play Star Trek Online.
Engineering here. Warp engines are online.
Course laid in, Captain.
Engage.
Your ship.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Your crew.
Move out.
Your destiny.
Let's just get to the Stowe news then, because I have stuff to talk about for Stowe. Oh, let's do it.
Are you going to rage?
No.
Are you going to rage about
not
massively?
a lot. No, we're gonna discuss concerns, right, Mike?
Yes.
How about massively though?
Yeah, well, that's different. That's
why.
massive.
That's why I asked if you were going to rage.
All right, let's talk. Let's talk about Stowe first, though.
The anniversary's here.
Yay! Anniversary's here, and I got to play Dust to Dust.
Right on.
And it was awesome.
It was really good.
And I died a bazillion times.
It was the floor thing, wasn't it?
It's the floor thing. Do you know how long it took me to figure out that you have to land on the colored the lines?
So I take it you did it on easy.
I did it on normal.
Yeah.
And I still died a bazillion times.
Apparently, if you do it on like fuck you hard, it's like you get accolades. But
fuck you hard. I wish that's what they would call it, Mike.
You know what? This is totally what they're going to call it. That's what we're going to call it from now on. Is that there's normal, advanced, and fuck you hard.
Well, I played it on normal, and I've only had time to do it once. But I died 3 times, and thank God, after the 3rd time you die, they automatically jump you to the end. It's like thank God.
A respawn point halfway through. You just want to weep with joy. It is hilariously funny, and it's not. Once I did it with a separate character, and I realized, there's a trick to this. I get it now. I still died, but I only died like 10 times as opposed to 50. So Beth was quite beat up in the first round, and Tess did much better in the second round. But I still had to respawn on the upper pylon, that bridge. And it's utterly ridiculously funny. But it's possible. Now that I understand the trick, it's just going to take practice. But the payoff at the end of that episode is fantastic. And it's probably some of the most true to form, well-acted characterizations that they've got in the game right now. Because I found myself actually emotionally involved with the characters at the
end. I was a little teary-eyed.
I was too.
And
it was very good.
I mean, there's something to be said about seeing those two characters together again after all this time, and it's like part of me, that joke or whatever. I used to torture my brothers with this. It was like, stop hitting yourself. I wanted to see. I wanted that kind of moment at one point, but no.
It's in, and the woman who plays Jetlaya, who is
Lindsay Ballard.
Lindsay Ballard.
Well, that was the character.
But it's Kim Rhodes who plays the character, and
that was awesome.
And does the voice for the character in the game. She nailed it. She nailed it. This is a woman who loves her character. And it carried through the voice acting very, very well. I believed every moment of it. It was great. Just congratulations to the Stowe team on Dust to Dust, because it was a wonderful episode. And I thought it was
really well done.
It was a species that I kind of found offensive at first, and now that Stowe's had a chance to kind of talk about them and delve deeper into their culture, they're a lot less reprehensible.
Well, since we're in the position of congratulating the Stowe team, I put a link in the chat room, and it'll be in our show notes, to the 5-year anniversary infographic.
Yeah.
Which has all of the details, the deets, as they say, for Star Trek Online, what it has achieved and accomplished over the course of 5 years. And towards the bottom, it has a list of all of the actors that have made it into the game so far. And the the list has grown substantially over last year. I mean, I think last year we had 5, and I think Michael Dorn was the last one on the list.
I think you're right.
And then this year they one-upped it and added 6 more. So I mean, that's significant.
It really is, and it like I said, it really shows. The Delta Rising content to me was some of the it is wonderful. It's great. It's fun. I love the storytelling in it. They also added 2 new. Well, they revamped the Romulan storyline, right? So they took out
although it's only on the Fed side from what I hear. So
yes, but it makes more sense now.
Oh, does it?
Yes, because when they brought out the legacy of Romulus, right? That it was a faction that for 2+ years, almost 3 years, didn't exist in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a story going on behind all of this. When you're a Federation character, there's this whole big story that's allegedly going on that you don't really hear about because you're dealing with one aspect of the Romulan Star Empire, and then all of a sudden you deal with, then it all kind of ends on that weird cliffhanger where Sela gets taken by the Iconians. And
they removed a lot of missions from that arc.
They kind of needed to if they wanted to make the story more consistent, because remember, you're going to at one point you end up at Kittimer, and there's Sela attempts to bomb it, the peace conference with and now that they've added 2 missions back into the Romulan threads, which have Denise Crosby involved as Sela. And they make much more sense now as to what she was doing and how she and Hakeev are manipulating things and trying to continuously try to manipulate you away from the Romulan Republic. So as a Federation member, you're seeing that division, that split happening. You're continuously reinforced to show, God, she's a nasty bitch. So.
Hi, Dayton. How are you?
Hello. I walk
Ladies
in,
and gentlemen, Dayton Ward.
The first words I hear as I walk in, nasty bitch. I'm like,
that's a
fine welcome.
Real quick, I just wanted to touch upon one last thing on this infographic.
Yeah.
One thing that they did add was the number of developer babies after 5 years. So, and there were 12.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all 12 of those children that were born because of Stowe? Question mark. So I thought that was a nice touch.
If they had time to make babies, they weren't working hard enough on the game.
Oh, you're so bad.
Oh, that's bad. How you doing, sir?
It's good to have you, Dayton. How are you doing,
Nick
hon?
was saying what we were all thinking.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh, that's right.
So how is everybody?
Great. How are you?
I'm awake. Let's start with that.
I was going to say, for waking up so early on a Sunday, what the hell?
It's all downhill from here.
I take it you've been busy.
Not really. Just, I tend to stay up later on weekends, so I haven't quite shaken the whole I have to work until 2 a.m. thing. I still do that a lot.
Do you find yourself working better?
Yeah, old habits die hard. So
it's quiet too then.
But it's not because I have to. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like I have no other choice but to do it that way. It's just I just tend to be a night person, and then about 11 is when the juices start flowing for real. It's like you just run until they run out. So
yeah.
Well, we were just talking about Star Trek Online and the most recent story, which brought back the dead Harry Kim. So
Zombie Kim.
Sweet. Huh?
Zombie Kim?
Yeah, kind
of. Kobali, so
Kobali is what they made him a Kobali.
All right, I'm not even going to pretend that I am informed as to the ongoing storyline in Star Trek Online.
That's okay. Well, they brought you out in the game. You're now out in the Delta Quadrant, so you're
okay.
Right, and so you're dealing with and kind of allied with the Kobali, which are the people who take over dead bodies.
Cool.
And they found Harry's body floating around in space. So they kind of used it. It's actually really good. So they did a good job with that one. I was a little skeptical at first, but
well, I mean, I see the news updates and things like that. So I know that they just are about to celebrate their 5th anniversary, and I see the high points when they introduce a major change to the storyline or something. So I'm at least aware of that. I'm like 5 years really already.
I know.
Yeah.
It's very weird for me.
Seems like just the other day I was sitting outside EB Games or wherever I bought the $80 collector's year's edition of the Source game that I never played.
You never played.
Yeah.
And now it's free to play.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that was $80 well spent. So, just thinking of all the booze I could have had for that. But anyway.
Well, Mike, what's
At least
next?
a couple of cheap hookers.
I think we're done with the news. I don't think that we have anything else. So the timing was perfect, Mr. Ward.
Well, Chris Pine said something about Simon Pegg being perfect.
Yeah, there was a video. I'm not sure where that went.
Oh, I remember seeing that one. Yeah. Oh God, why did I think we talked about that last week, but we didn't?
Because we talked about the other things with this. We talked about Simon Pegg last week because that's
right.
when it broke. Now Chris Pine has weighed in.
Oh, I found it.
All better.
Yeah,
a renewed butt hurt has happened. I missed that. Okay.
What do you think of Toll? Hey, we've thrown out the script.
I don't know that they have thrown out the script, because if they start production next month, there's no way they don't have a script. They have to have something.
Yeah.
You don't just start aiming cameras at people and go, "Give me what you got." You know, not with this kind of budget. They've got something.
I
now
agree.
Now whether they took the original script as submitted by Orsi and the other two guys whose names I can't remember, but this was their first ever screenwriting gig or whatever the hell it is. I don't know, but they had to have taken at least something, the basic framework or something. There's just no way they're going to shoot unless they're just, when they say production. See, that's the thing. When they say we're starting production, that could mean anything. That could mean
we're starting to write now.
Yeah, I was going to say they could be building sets and rendering models and all that kind of crap, and sending out a B unit to do, location shots and things like that. But the idea that they're going to have their highly paid actors on the camera with nothing to say doesn't make any sense at all.
Hey, Scorsese does it.
Scorsese does it for a reason, because his name is Martin fucking Scorsese.
And he's got names like Leonardo DiCaprio.
I don't know if Justin Lin can coax those sort of performances out of this particular group of actors. So we shall see. Without it being a Saturday Night Live skit. So. No, I mean, there's just no way they're not
a bad
starting.
thing. I'm sorry. I'm up for, like I said, I'm up for a little bit of comedy on this one. I really am.
If they figured out between the two of them, the director and the writers, if they figured out, okay, we can start if you can give me X, Y, Z, and then start feeding me pages and don't sleep for the next 2 months.
Right.
That could be a way to do it, because that would not be the first time it's happened. But I can't believe they don't have something down. That just doesn't make any sense. And for one thing, Simon Pegg wrote a lot for TV, so that dude knows how to write fast.
This for some reason now I'm seeing the Marlon Brando version of The Island of Dr. Moreau. As they were writing the script as they were filming.
Well, I mean, they could do that because Marlon Brando didn't read scripts. You had to write out all his lines on giant cue cards in front of the camera so that he could wander around and pretend like he was just pulling words out of the air. So,
hey, if we get that little dwarf person playing the grand piano, I'm okay.
Oh, you mean what?
And Chris Pine with an ice bucket on his head.
Island of Dr. Moreau. No, that's funny. So why am I here? Why'd you wake me up? What? Why am I not sleeping in on Sunday?
What time is it out there?
I was going to say
9. I've been up for an hour.
I was going to say, it's Super Bowl Sunday. You're already drunk.
No, that's not until people start showing up.
What are we making for Super Bowl Sunday?
I was going to say, what are we making for?
I think we're keeping it simple. I think it's just I'm getting some sandwiches, catered in, and the usual finger food crap. I mean, we don't go too crazy because we always end up with enough food to feed an army for a month. So
right. So what is going to be the drink of choice today?
Whatever's in reach. Let's see. I think I have a bottle of Crown Royal that's feeling neglected, so we'll start with that.
Oh, that's
right on.
No, well, it'll be easy going because it's school and work
just
tomorrow.
Picturing
man.
you like Goey.
Got kids in school tomorrow.
You like Goey from Friends with the ice cooler next to you.
I'll be one of those guys with the hat and the two cans on the side of the hat with the straws running down to my head to my face. So.
Driving the kids to school.
There you go. I'm not hungover.
All the other fathers leery-eyed.
I'm not hungover. Oh, too funny. How are the kids? How is Michi? How is everyone? Doing
They're
good?
Okay. It's been pretty busy. She's been busy, so there's been a lot of search and rescue stuff for them. So
yeah.
they've been
I saw there was a new doggy.
Yeah, that's one of our other members.
So the girl.
Go ahead. Hello.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I thought maybe you cut out on me. No, there's one of the other members has this new dog. It's like a bloodhound. She's training her to be a bloodhound. They like you see in the movies. Where you can wave a shirt in front of their nose and they can go track that person. So.
Right
that's
on.
So cool.
Cool hand, Luke.
Mitchie's or my wife's dog is more of a human remains cadaver search. So like after a structure fire or something like that, and somebody's missing, they send somebody like her in to go look for missing people that are presumed
cool.
dead. So.
Yeah,
How
it's
goes
weird
the
though.
$6 million man watch with the daughters?
Oh, it's okay. I mean, they're moving on to other things too. But every once in a while, I get a request. So like on a day like today, I'll probably get knocked on the door. Hey, Dad, can we watch whatever? So it's snowing out here and icy, so they're not going to be able to go outside too much, or they're not going to want to go outside too much. So
our snow all melted. It snowed yesterday and melted by 2.
Well, I mean, it's not. There's not a lot on the ground right now, but the weather projects it off and on all day long and into tonight. So it's nothing like back east or anything. It's just it'll be a nuisance.
Well, we're supposed to get what you're getting now. We're supposed to get that tonight.
Well, don't worry about it. It's not much. I mean, I'm like, I can still see grass. I don't want to hear about any snow days tomorrow.
What kind
This
of
is the
projects?
DC area. They shut down for 2 flakes because evidently no one here has ever driven in the snow, even though every year it snows.
That's because everybody there is from somewhere else.
Well, no. The real reason is because there's still so much farmland in the area that like school buses and stuff have troubles getting out there. So that has a ripple effect because when the schools are shut down, then the parents have to call in and it just becomes a mess.
A nightmare. Got it.
Well, here they'll cancel the school as often as not, or extremely cold temperatures. Like if it gets down into the single digits or whatever, and a lot of wind chill, they'll cancel school just to avoid having kids wait at a bus stop or something. So I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that I've seen that as much as I've seen regular snow.
Yeah.
Snow days canceled.
Interesting.
And so far they've only racked up. I think they've only gotten 1 or maybe 2 for the entire year so far. So
that's
but
not
they
too
tack
bad.
it on. They don't
Because
have
they have to make. I was gonna say they have to make it up at the end of school year.
Yeah,
they
don't have snow days anymore built into the schedule. They don't have like extra days. They tack on anything at the end of the year. So instead of their last day being the 27th of May, it'll be the 29th of May or whatever. So I'm like, keep it going. Snow for a month. I don't care.
You're so nice. So what other projects can you talk about that you're working on?
Let's see. Right now I'm working on the 24 novel. I'm hip deep in that one. I'm also working on Seekers 4 with Kevin. I sent an outline in earlier last week for what will be the sequel to From History Shadow. And
Nice.
So that's
very
being reviewed
cool
now by CBS. I have another outline that'll be due in the spring for, I don't know exactly at this point what it's going to be, but I suspect it will be a 24th century Next Generation novel. That's just what we talked about. That's what it says on the contract. Unnamed 24th century Star Trek novel. That's what it says on the contract. To be named later or whatever. So I don't know. And or she'll change her mind and tell me to do something else. I don't know. Or she'll ask me if I've got something else in me. Would you rather do a so and so novel? And I'll say yes or no, depending on
whatever the pitch is. Yeah.
And then I'll go off and figure out what to do. And let's see. I signed a contract with another publisher late last month for a tie-in book. I can say it's a Star Trek book, but I can't say what it is and who it's for yet. It's not a novel. It's
kids book.
No, it's
Hallmark.
not. It's not a kids book. It's not. Hallmark doesn't do that kind of stuff. I wish they did because it would be one of the more fun meetings I'd have. No, but this is. I got called kind of out of the blue. I mean, apparently I was recommended by somebody at CBS to write for these folks. So
nice.
Right on.
We had a couple of discussions over right before the holidays, and then I hammered out an outline and sent it to them, or a brief, just a real brief bullet point of what I could do with the project. And they said, "Yeah, sure, let's go with that." So I got a contract.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been pretty good. And we're talking about other things that are with Pocket that are further down the line.
I had an idea for a series of young adult novels of Neelix as a teenager. What do you think?
I think you'll be the only one who'll want to read it. I don't know what it is about young adult Star. I mean, I've been a big thumper of that drum for years. Like, we need to do more stuff for young readers and kids and stuff because everybody else is getting in on that action and they're making money at it and having fun with it. But Star Trek's never seemed to, at least not in the modern age.
Terry was a big fan of the Starfleet Academy.
Don't even start with me.
Well, you have to look at, Star Trek's track record. I mean, in TOS, all the kids turned out to be like homicidal.
Best episode ever.
Well, I mean, my thing is when it was just the original show, in the 70s, and there was a lot more stuff, merchandising aimed at kids. There were toys, there were models, were games, there was all that stuff. And so there were kids books and there were all kinds of stuff like that aimed at that audience, and they sold pretty well. The more modern shows, they, as I always said, they took themselves too seriously. We're Star Trek. We're above all that crap.
Yeah, they gave us
Fuck
Wesley.
you. Star Wars gets by just fine.
They gave us Wesley, which I mean, Wesley is not the average kid, you know.
Well, I mean, nobody runs around their neighborhood playing Star Trek Voyager. I'm sorry, not like you play Army Men or Cowboys and Indians, or as we used to do back in the day, we would play Star Trek. We would pretend to be Kirk and Spock in the end, but nobody runs around playing Captain Picard. You know.
Now I could see playing Dominion versus Federation.
Sure, you could, nerd. But anyway, no, I'm just saying there's just that overall mentality, and I'm not saying it's not a corporate thing, because I know CBS would love to tap into that market, but it's just the perception is it's not for kids, and of course that perception is pushed by a lot of 40-something fanboys.
And I have to say I'm very happy because my brother called me this week, and my nephew who's 9 years old just admitted to my brother that he wanted a Star Trek ship for Christmas, and this was a big thing for me because he's always been about everything but Star Trek.
Sure.
So
everything is
I don't want to bombard him and scare the hell out of him.
Yeah.
I don't want to bombard him. I just want to leak it to him and make him think, oh yeah, this is special.
Just lay out a little breadcrumb and draw him.
Exactly.
At the risk of John Van Sitter ringing my doorbell, punching me in the face, and running away.
Which I would pay to see.
Star Trek Legos.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
he's totally going to beat you.
I swear to God, he will punch you right in the balls if you ask
He will.
him.
I know.
I know this because I had to deflect said punch to balls. So, no.
Yeah.
I love it. You're not the first person to come up with that idea. Believe me. You're not even the 500th person to pose that idea.
No, I know.
And it always kills me whenever I read message boards when somebody proposes the most obvious thing ever, as though, Moses came down with it scratched on a tablet. Look at this idea that I had. Like, no shit, dude. We all talk about that. It's like right now there's message boards where nobody's talking about the 50th. Nobody's doing anything for the 50th. Just because nobody's come and brought you the engraved invitation doesn't mean people aren't talking about it.
That's true.
Well,
that's very true.
Since December, and we can blame the lovely Janice on this. And by the way, Dayton, I told Janice you were going to be on, and she said to make sure she said hello to Dayton because for some reason she just adores you.
But she didn't reroute her schedule to be here today. So
she's a church.
Her lack of loyalty is noted.
She's a church.
Oh, okay, him again.
That doesn't make a difference.
For that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Him again.
Oh
my God, Ross is right. A Lego Star Trek game.
Man.
I don't know. I don't know the particulars of why there specifically is not one, because I know that is one of those things on his list of dream items to do. When I say him, I mean
I think they have to sign away the rights to their children.
I think it really has everything to do with the trademarking.
I don't know if it's Lego's willing to pony up the money for that license. Sure, they've got money to burn, but it's a matter of, have you seen how much a Star Wars Lego set costs? I mean, like for a Millennium Falcon or a Death Star. I mean, you want to talk about having to go donate blood and semen for a year to be able to buy one of those things.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
Sometimes mixed.
And I don't know if the price is somewhere between, we know we can get this much amount of money from the diehard fans, and we have to cover our nut because it's not going to be a mainstream thing. It's kind of the same reason that Star Trek Blu-rays cost $100,
right?
Or TV sets cost $100, which because they don't make as many of them because the demand's not there.
Right.
So it's like, okay. I mean, I suspect that if they made a Star Trek Enterprise Lego set, the damn thing would run $100 plus. And who's going to buy that?
Oh, easily.
Me. Well, yeah, okay. You and me and the other 40-something fanboys will pony up the money for it, but it's not going to be a 12-year-old's kid thing for Christmas.
No, but I think the Lego game for like the Xbox and PlayStation would make
that would be a hit. I think that would be fun. I mean, like I said, anything that goes after you. No, I go after. I don't. It sounds predatory when I say it that way. Anything that can be interest a kid is good.
Yeah.
Suddenly that guy that does Datelines can show up at Dayton's house.
Have a seat here, Dayton.
I'm Chris Hansen.
I used to have regular conversations with Margaret and Marco at Pocketbooks about, can we try a young adult thing? Can we try something aimed at kids? And just the interest just wasn't there. And then they did those 3 or 4 books that came out with the 2009 movie, which to me was one of their key chances to try to tap into that market because of the that kind of the movie being an action flick, basically more appealing to kids. And I think I read the first 2 of those Starfleet Academy books.
The Starfleet Academy comic, aside from the first one, which was horrible, was pretty good.
Well, you're talking about the TNG
The one with
era
Nog.
ones.
Yeah.
the
It
one with
wasn't a
Nog.
bad one. It was one of their
No,
better
those were
selling
fun.
titles. I mean, it was for that day. I mean, for that era, that was a pretty bold move on Marvel's part to try that. So because that wasn't series now where we spin off with different crews and different characters and different ships. It's kind of the norm now. I mean, you expect it with the fiction lines and Star Trek Online and stuff, but back then that was not nearly as commonplace.
Because didn't Peter David, some of his characters were in that.
Marvel beat Pocket to the punch with coming up with a new crew of to spin their own tales with by about a year. I think if I did the maths right, because it was 95, 96 when those comics started. New Frontier didn't start until 97.
I didn't know that.
Was it that late? Wow.
I have to check the math.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Do you know? Is there any? Do you know Peter? Right?
Well, I mean, not like we hang out, but I know him. Yeah.
No. Any word on a New Frontiers novel coming out? Because it's been
my
a while.
understanding is he's been contracted to write 3 ebook novellas that will come out in sequence. And I don't know if that's one novel broken into 3 parts or if that's 3 separate storylines or they're connected in any way. I don't know the details. All I know is that there are 3 ebook novellas, so 35,000 words each, that he's been contracted to do. I don't have any idea about. I know they're New Frontier. I don't know anything about the storyline.
Now Dayton, that in Star Trek Online, Mackenzie Calhoun's in that, right?
Yeah, I heard about. I know you. Well, I mean, I don't know how he got in there. Was he brought in by the
he's
dev
just
team?
meant.
He's an NPC on K7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's on
K7. I know the Cryptic folks have kind of cherry picked a few things they like about the novels to pepper their backstory. I mean, that's. Yeah. I know that much. I know.
That's a perfect way of saying it. They're just peppered in there, and they're not like they have. Yeah, it's not like Mackenzie Calhoun has any direct correlation with any of the storyline that you follow, or you don't follow him, but he is one of the characters that you receive missions from.
Well, I mean,
the lower levels.
I knew that they were talking about trying to maybe somebody had brought up the idea of bringing Vanguard into Star Trek Online, and I'm like, as some sort of mission, and I'm like, I know nothing about that. I mean, like I said, I know the dev folks pick a few things that they like about.
Steve reads every single book that comes out.
Yeah,
I know, but I mean, she's doing something for a completely different audience over for the game. I mean, what she has to do versus what we do are two completely different animals. She's got to serve a different master. I mean,
it is, and she'll even admit that. I mean, we've talked to her several
it's
times.
not a judgment call. I know exactly what she's doing and why she's doing it, and I got her back. I'm not going to let anybody talk shit about her.
I love the New Frontiers novels, but one of my favorite kind of Easter eggs is in Destiny when they're talking about Mackenzie trying the suicide maneuver. I was like, yeah, that's very Mackenzie Calhoun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very. Where's the Picard maneuver? Mackenzie Calhoun's like the fuck everybody maneuver.
Just full speed ahead.
No, I've also read the short fiction that is tied into Star Trek Online that the magazine publishes. So I mean, I get that part of the backstory. Yeah. So and as a matter of fact, one of Christine's stories is recommended this year it's in the running for the Scribe Awards this year.
Nice.
It was submitted for consideration. So I don't know where it sits or where it stands or if it'll make the cut or whatever. I have no clue. So.
That's kind of cool.
I think she submitted one last year too.
So are we up on about a year now that you've become a New York Times bestselling author?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it would have been last January. So.
How tell us, Dayton, how did that change your life? I mean, that's like winning the Academy Award.
The first shipment of concubines arrived promptly a week later, and
nice.
I haven't had to eat my own grapes for a year.
Nice.
I know.
Yeah, but are they making you grilled cheese sandwiches? Are they making you grilled cheese sandwiches?
Fuckers didn't show up to help me move or anything, No. I mean, tangibly, there's not a lot that's different. I'm sure that a couple of the jobs that I'm currently under contract for came about as a result of that. So there's that, of course. I mean, and it definitely does help in terms of, so-and-so NYT bestseller, because I've given a couple of blurbs for other people's books and then they tag that on at the end. And I'm like, I kind of downplay it, but the other editor will be like, oh, hell no, we're going to use that. So it's really more a publisher's thing, really. I mean, it's like, if I was to walk around saying, hi, my name's Dayton Ware, I'm a New York Times bestseller, I get punched in the balls. It's a pretentious, dickish thing to say, but publishers' editors will milk that thing forever,
and we will too.
But it'll be on every book I ever write from now.
Well, we made you, so
yeah, right, okay. Not according to my royalty statement, but
But it must have been a contributing factor in your decision to take up writing full time, though. I would think.
Well, I mean, it's like I said. To me, it's based on how New York our bestsellers are determined. You know, it's like, okay, I know that there's a bit of a game in the system going on here because that's based on book orders by booksellers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like a month later they could turn around and return 75% of their unsold stock. And my book still becomes statistically a failure, but it definitely helps out with terms of negotiating contracts and being recommended for jobs, and maybe they'll answer my email a little faster if I'm approaching them for the first time and things like that. It definitely has had an effect that way. But it's not like I walk around with. I think we're making
the mistake of giving you credit for having a long-term plan.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, the long-term plan was purely financial, dude. Trust me. My wife and I worked out the details. But
that's so great, though.
It's nice. They don't give us name tags or anything to wear around.
Tell me one of you, when you were making that decision, had on the green visor and the old style adding machine where you had to pull the lever down. And
that is completely 100% my wife. In terms of if anybody's going to play that role, it's going to be her. She's the financial ninja in our partnership. So she's the one who suggested it to me. She said, well, we can do this if you can generate X number of dollars income every year, we can do this. And I'm like, okay, that's a reachable target based on my current output versus what I'm projecting and then of course it's always about what's next. I'm writing a book now, but I'm thinking 2 or 3 books down the road in terms of lining up work. So like for right now, I've got work that'll get me through into fall of the year in terms of actual work. And then by the time summer rolls around, I'll be talking about what's coming up 6 months after that. So
months after that. So you're usually at least 6 months planned ahead if you can.
That was the missing piece was, when I was working full time, I just didn't have the luxury of being able to commit myself to more than this much load at one time. It's like I had to work on one book at a time and maybe a short story or a magazine article in and around that work, and then try to sleep. But the whole conversation started with talking to one of my editors saying, hey, you always said that you use me more if I was available more, so I'm about to be available more. What do you think about that?
Right.
So I'm basically calling your bluff, and we'll put your ass to work right now. And
so honestly, and all joking aside, for people in our audience, because as you know, we do have a lot of people aside from Marshawn Lynch who want to, who wonder what it's like and maybe even have dreams. What is you as a full-time writer, and that's your job
now?
What's the day like?
Well, it starts
because there's the writing, and then there's also I'm gathering from the way you say, meetings and pitches for other projects and things like that. So
I break the day up into halves basically for the big stuff. I got to get up and get the kids out we'll use this time of the year as to set the template. I get up, kids got to get ready for school, got to get them out to the bus stop. So I'm usually not back to my desk until about 8:30. Whether I've been up for a couple hours or not depends on what's going on. But so I'll work in the morning on typically I'll work on one of the 2 novels. I'll work on 24 in the morning, and then after lunch or something, if I run some errands at lunch, then I'll work on, if I've hit my quota for the day in terms of where I want to be, I'll stop and work on the other one, and then I'll inverse them, or I'll spend one day working on the whole thing because the juice is just flowing. There's really not a locked in schedule. It's like what feels good today. So I'll work on one novel or that short story, because at one point I was juggling 4 different projects. I was juggling the 2 novels, a short story, and some web content. And then of course, like you said, I'm also doing and stuff like the outlining or reviewing. Like last week I did all the review edits for the Next Generation book that's coming out in a couple of months, the Armageddon's Arrow. I got the proof pages for those, so I had to read through all that to make sure they didn't dick anything up. And they did. They were like, I'm going through the pages, and I'm like, why is there a paragraph marker? They would run paragraphs together. I'm like, there's supposed to be a paragraph break here, and I had to go through the whole manuscript to make sure they didn't do that. And then it's also my last chance to fix anything. That sentence structure really sucks. How come nobody caught that? And I'll fix it. So it's just minor things at this point. It's my last chance to really go through and polish it.
I've got go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how many times do you read your novel before it actually hits the shelf?
I personally read it no fewer than 4 times by the time you see it, and I'm tired of it by the time you see it. By the time you get it on your hand, I never want to see the fucking thing again. Maybe that's just because I'm Gemini or something. I don't know. No, I mean, I read it in such rapid succession. Like I'll read it, after I do my first draft and I run through, and I tend to edit as I go. So I'm one of those. By the time I get to the end of a first draft, it's 95% where I want it, and then I'll polish it before I turn it in, and then I'll read it again while I'm waiting on the copy edits to come back. Just to make sure that I didn't miss anything completely stupid. And that's happened. Hey, so-and-so changed genders from one chapter to another. That kind of thing. How the hell did that happen? And that was that kind of thing. So I'll do that while I'm waiting, because it's usually about a month between the time I turn in a manuscript until I get it back as a copy-edited manuscript. Like somebody's been hired to go through with a red pen and just mark the hell out of it, figuratively speaking, because it's all digital now. In fact, Scott Pearson, you know Scott, right?
Right.
He was the copy editor for
Good friend of the show.
Yeah.
For Armageddon Zero?
For Armageddon Zero, he was the copy editor. Simon & Schuster has hired him as a freelance copy editor for a few projects. So, and I didn't know that until he actually emailed me and asked me a question, which was basically a polite way of saying, "What the fuck were you thinking when you wrote XYZ?" I was like happy, because my first thought was Scott's an excellent editor for number one, and a great writer, and he's also very knowledgeable about the Star Trek stuff. So I'm like, great, we've got a copy editor that's both a very good copy editor or copywriter, and two, knows his shit for Star Trek. Thank God, right?
Yep.
So he was there to catch a couple of continuity goofs. He was there to ask me a couple of questions that made me rethink a couple of things. And I'm like, okay, this is the kind of copy editor you want,
Right.
Not trying to rewrite the book in his own image, but just making sure you're not stepping on your crank. So thank God for Scott. So that's how that one went. So anyway, that's part of the schedule. And then I was also writing an outline for what will be the next novel. So my brain can't really sit in one mode very long during the course of any one day. I usually bounce around to 2 or 3 different things. But it's
Very
fun.
cool.
It's fun because I don't have to try to compress all of that into 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night. Now I get to do all that over the course of an entire day. And all of my main energy is not depleted by something else. It's all focused on this. So my stress level has dropped.
And it gives you a chance
dramatically.
I was going to say, it gives you a chance to walk away from the desk and take a breath and walk the dog or whatever, and then go back to it.
I get to go to the movies with my kids. I get to go do XYZ with the kids. I mean, my stress level has dropped like a brick. My wife will tell you, you were getting kind of hairy to live with for a while there. I was thinking about punching you with a bat. So,
you can go to conventions now and not have the worry.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's still going to be the worry, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for example, last August when we did Shore Leave, I was trying to finish a novel I was trying to write an outline for a novel. At the same time, I was trying to polish a novel. At the same time, I was doing the convention. At the same time, I was doing day job work because it was the first weekend of the month. And so I slept about 4 hours those 3 days. And Kevin will tell you I was up till 3 or 4 in the morning working every night. So we'd get done doing our
and
bit for the convention.
Then you couldn't devote the proper time to Kevin that you needed.
Yeah, Kevin felt very, very, very neglected. So
Kevin without his batteries is not a fun person.
He had to buy fresh batteries. He was very mad. So yeah. So by in comparison, next convention when I go to, I won't have that problem. So yeah, my stress level drastically has dropped.
And you already kind of have your convention schedule set out for 2015. I mean, you're going to be doing Starfest again in Denver.
Yeah. No sooner did I write that though than Monkey Wrench got thrown in because.
Oh no.
Well, no, on a good way. I've been invited to another show, so I'm still waiting to hear back on the details.
Oh, good.
And it's not one I've been.
Listen to Mr. Popular getting invited all over the place.
All I can say is it's not one I've been to before, and it's at a location I've never been to before.
Well, so, even better.
But it may be of interest to people listening to the show.
And
it's not. That's all I can say right now.
Say it. It's not a done deal.
Haven't signed any contracts. Haven't made any formal commitments. So I told them what they gave me the dates. I said I think I'm available. Here's what I'm asking for. And
hey, question: when is Dragon Con? Because that's
it's Labor Day weekend.
List.
It's always Labor Day weekend.
Okay, fuck.
Yeah, it's like right in the middle of like.
Yeah.
No, it's Labor Day fucking weekend. I'm like, I'm not flying to Atlanta on Labor Day weekend. Fuck that. I'll be the one who stays back and answers the phones. You guys all go.
Well, since you're on and we're talking about cons, it hit the news again this week in a big way about San Diego and Comic-Con and just that they can't handle the crowds.
Yeah, that's always. Well, I mean, I know the contract's up for renewal, right, in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So this sounds to me like it's the usual posture.
It is.
It's like, oh, we don't know if we can set. They're going to be looking to get a better deal out of the other person. Comic-Con's going to want some more concessions made, and San Diego's going to want some more money, or whatever. I mean, that convention center is ridiculously huge. I mean, but I don't know if the hotel and all that traffic can continue to support the load. I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people in a compressed space for 5 days.
Right.
I see. I want to go to a San Diego Comic-Con to go. It's one of those. It's like going to Mecca, but I'm not gonna go with as crowded as it is, and quite honestly, it's one of those things that sets off my PTSD.
Yeah.
Well, is a crowd that huge? I just can't see that I would enjoy it, and I don't want to spend 8 hours sleeping in a hall waiting for something and missing 8 hours of walking around.
I see that. I haven't been in a couple years. It was a sort of a diminishing return sort of thing for me. The people that I would want to talk to in terms of possibly getting work from another publisher, they're not there.
They're not there, right?
Or they've already had their meeting schedule laid out for them, and it's already. So if you're not already on their schedule, the chances of you getting to talk to them, unless you already know them, like I could talk to Marco. I could walk up to the Tor booth, for example. Marco Palmieri, for those that don't know, he used to work for Pocket Books as a Star Trek editor. Now he's working for Tor. I'm just going to use him as an example. If I wanted to talk to Marco, I could probably get his attention, and we could go get a sandwich or something for half an hour. But if I'm not already on somebody's radar screen by the time I show up at the convention center, I'm probably not going to get a chance to talk to that person because I'm nobody. I'm one drop in that gigantic bucket, and there's just so much. I mean, you have to see it once, Nick, to appreciate the size of the damn thing, because it's just sensory overload. But you're right. If you're not a crowd person, or you don't want to do that, it's insane. And in fact, there were times where I wouldn't even go in on it. Like there were a couple years where I didn't even bother going into the convention center on Saturday because it was just so crazy. And now Thursday feels like Saturday.
Right, and I just don't think that I would enjoy that because it would be the mind fuck that it would do to me. You know what I mean?
I mean, it depends on what you're there to do. I mean, like people who were there to see when Twilight was the thing that everybody had to see. People would wait in line for days to get into that main hallway or that main auditorium where they were going to show the Twilight folks. And I'm just like, you spend all this money, all this time on costumes and tickets and food and airfare and hotel, and you spend the bulk of your time laying on the fucking street waiting to see Robert Pattinson. I mean, I can understand the devotion to the fandom, but it's Robert fucking Pattinson, man. You're not going to go see Stan Lee or somebody like that. I mean, that's just me. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't do that for anybody. I'm like, there's too much to do, too many people to see, too many things that you want to check out to have it all pissed away laying in a hallway.
Alan and I have been twice, and the first time that we went, we had the time of our lives. We really did. It was probably right when things really started to tip the edge, to tip over into insanity. Mm-hmm. It was like the last year where you could still get tickets for the whole weekend. You weren't limited to just finding one day's worth, and it was just it.
And they weren't selling out in 10 minutes.
Well, I mean,
they kind of were.
Even though the hoops you had to jump through as a quote, and I'm using the air quotes, professional. Because as industry professional. I mean, I got a pass because I was an industry pro. So I had to go through several hoops to get that, and it was good for the whole weekend. But it's like thankfully I wasn't paying the ticket price to get in, but it's still, I just wasn't getting. I mean, I was having the first couple of years were real fun because I'd never done it before, and we were doing book signings, and it was the publishers were putting us out there and having us do big book signings with giveaways, and there were lines around the corner for the booths and all. It was a lot of fun. So it was.
And you guys had the tie-in panel,
and we got to have the tie-in panels, and they still do that. They do. That's where they give the tie-in awards every year. Is at San Diego, but even that is like Friday afternoon at 5:30 in some hall a mile away or whatever. It's kind of like an afterthought because the focus is all about the Hollywood stuff and the big, and which that's kind of what the hardcore fans are pissed about is because the comics have been relegated to such I mean, they're literally in a corner, dude. You can't write it any different. What used to be Author's Alley is now like half of one lane in one corner on the far corner, well away from all the other stuff that's cool. They're all in the corner. And they put on their game faces and they do their stuff for the fans, but you got to feel bad for them because it's called a comic convention, you fuckheads, and I feel bad because I see people I know that are just there doing their thing, doing sketches for their fans and signing whatever people put in front of them. And all the attention is at center stage where, the latest Hunger Games trailer is out.
I was going to say where the Avengers 2 cast is
exactly,
up there speaking.
And I get it. That's what's driving the ticket sales. I can't fault the people who run the show because that's where the money is and that's what their business is. I get that. But as far as moving it, where would they move it to? Anaheim? I can't see
LA
it.
and Anaheim are both bidding.
A lot of
have the infrastructure?
Yeah, it really does.
And a lot of people are pushing for Vegas because they could do it up and down the strip.
I think that would be fun, man.
Yeah.
You get all the different hotels, because if they do the San Diego model where like one hotel skins itself to be the Avengers,
right? Can you imagine how cool that?
Can you imagine how fun that would be? I mean,
imagine like the Luxor, for one thing, and the MGM Grand for another, and they've got the monorail that runs up and down the strip. And
well, I know they got the monorail that runs there along the east side. Have they finally got a loop going on the west side where they connect all the main hotels on the west side of the strip?
Well, but the strip you can walk up and down.
Yeah, you can walk it. I mean, well, maybe not in July, but I mean, I did, but I'm stupid. So, and I'm all, we used to do that all the time. But I mean, but at night, of course, was more fun. But I mean, to me, Vegas seems like a more natural fit. I think their convention center is big enough to hold it. I've never been to the Anaheim one, so I don't know.
Well, the Anaheim one also happens to have the same thing that San Diego kind of has going for it, or almost does. Anaheim has the surrounding mega hotels around the convention center.
Yeah.
And
that's different than okay.
Yeah, it's
cool.
it's more like Dragon Con, where they have a huge convention center, and then other hotels which have their own huge banquet halls and banquet space and rooms and rooms and rooms are all connected.
Don't
so
use
the
Dragon
Hilton
Con
is
as a
there,
model.
and a lot of it. Yeah, it's just huge.
Don't use Dragon Con as your model. That's one of the reasons I won't go, is because it is so disjointed and so scattered.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great idea, but they're just. I mean, and then of course you'll get a schedule. I mean, I hear this from friends who go every year. You'll get a schedule, and it's at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock this hotel, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock hotel at the opposite end of the fucking planet.
Right.
And
Now,
so
the downside to LA's convention center makes San Diego's look like a pipsqueak. LA's
the
convention
hotel, right?
center is huge, but they don't have the hotel rooms.
The best part about doing it in Vegas, though, is you could be dressed in costume and have all that crap, and you would blend right into the
I was
Vegas
gonna say, nobody
strip,
would know.
people. Nobody would even know.
Hesitation. But as far as I know, Las Vegas isn't even interested, because
That's
it's my
amazing.
understanding right now the bids that are put forward to Comic-Con have been only from LA and Anaheim.
Well, I mean, it's not like Vegas is hurting for convention traffic either.
They're really not.
Well, I've heard that Vegas is planning that there's a group trying to actually create their own Comic-Con in Vegas.
Then that's
That'd be
probably
that'd be interesting too. I mean, it just depends on when they set it.
This time of year would probably be perfect because the only real huge one they've got is Salt Lake City
And
going
not the
on
least
right now.
I'd do it. Yeah, I'd do it in the spring before it gets too hot. Or
Well, I was going to say the winter would be great because people from the East Coast would definitely.
What helps San Diego is the time of the year. Kids are out of school, so it's almost like destination vacation kind of thing. So it's almost like going to Disney World or something. So there's definitely that consideration. So maybe but you can't even say over spring break because that shifts every year. So I don't know. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I love going to Vegas for 4 or 5 days. I wouldn't want to live there, but it's fun to show up 4 or 5 days and piss all over the furniture and then go home. But I'm sorry, was that out loud? That was Kevin. Kevin does that.
So Dayton, do you want to read your own Ask Dayton?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's why I asked.
I thought you guys did that already.
No, sorry, hon. So
I guess I could.
I'll ask the question, Dayton, and then you can give the
hang on.
reply.
I gotta get my glasses. Hang on a second. I hate having to say that. I gotta get my glasses.
Terry said she'll be right back, so we'll wait for her.
Okay. No, I was gonna say Mike mentioned something last week about a topic, but I don't remember what it was. Movie plots or movie something or
if you had our last week we posed the question, if you had $100,000 to produce either a film or a TV show, what would you do
for $100,000?
Well, we have to give you the backstory.
It was supposed to be a challenge.
I know that you didn't yet listen to our interview with Mark Cushman. We were talking about a network, a TV network that getting the rights to Land of the Giants, what sci-fi should be, and if we had $100,000 just for one thing to get off the ground.
Well, what I mean is when you say that, you mean like somebody would develop something that they would then turn and walk into a meeting and say, "This is my idea." I mean, you're not talking about actually filming something. You're talking about just developing a pilot or a script or something. Or I mean, $100,000 is not going to get you bagels at the table.
The idea that I came up with, I could do for that, was kind of the new version of Mystery Science Theater. But my friend Hokie Andrea and I, you've probably seen it on Twitter when her and I will watch a movie together and snark tweet it. It would be that where our tweets would be showing up on the screen.
So it's like pop-up video.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Except with our snark.
$100,000. What would you? I mean, it'd have to be obviously it'd be limited in scope, right? So, what would you do for 100? What can I do? What can I do? Well, I'd have to. I guess if it was going to be me, I'd do it some sort of sci-fi-ish bent, but it would be. I'd have to do it. I'd have to go for the joke. I'd have to go for the humor. So it.
How about the Dayton Ward show?
Yeah, right. How about all right, here we go. I'm gonna try this. Let me see. All right, here's a guy. He's sitting in a room and remember like Mr. Universe from Serenity, the guy with all the computer screens? Okay, but what if it's the guy who it lets him spin 360 degrees? He's got screens everywhere. He's got a big old console. He's got computer keyboards everywhere. And he's the asshole who, while you're watching videos on the internet like YouTube or Vimeo or whatever those guys, he's the asshole who will freeze it at the inopportune moment. It's like you're the guy trying to watch the cat video, and he's the dick who makes the hourglass come up on your screen. So, I don't know. Or you're trying to fap to porn, and he's the guy that freezes it right at you at the moment of truth. I don't know.
Oh man, never mind.
Actually, all right. You're talking about Mystery Science Theater. I did a short story once where it's 4 guys sitting in a movie theater before the start of a movie. I call it opening night, and all they do is they sit there and they nerd snark on each other about whatever topics of the day. This was like before Big Bang Theory and all that crap. And at the punchline, they start to gravitate toward the punchline, but basically they're in the movie theater to see Star Trek V. So it's 1989, and everybody's like, this movie's gonna suck, and yada yada yada, and all the reasons. And at the very end, one guy who's been sleeping through the entire thing wakes up and is like, "All right, this movie's gonna fucking kick ass." That's how it kind of fades out. So what if the show is just it's a 10-15 minute mini show that you run on the web where it's the 4 guys snarking on something, and it ends up being a promo for the new movie that's coming out Friday.
Oh, I like that.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any booze in me, so that's as good as it's probably gonna get.
Right on.
Or what if you're the old lady with like the thick accent from New Jersey, and she's got a smoker's cough, and she's got one dangling. She's got that really throaty, gravelly voice.
Hello, my name is Marge.
All right, so reuse the whole idea with the screens, and she's the chick who looks like when you submit a search query to Google. She's the one who has to read it and goes, "What the fuck?" and then send somebody in a minion to go get it.
Like Large Marge.
Like, whatever. Yeah, but she's got that voice that's like, I can't believe they're looking up shit like this. It's
like, God, this guy's asking about dolphin porn again.
Yeah, exactly. Jabba the Hutt with a strap on. Aisle 2,178, shelf 12. Go get it.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
Yeah, it's got those big vaults or whatever that you roll. I don't know.
That just makes me like she's smoking through her hole in her throat.
Smoking through that tube in her throat. Because she's had the surgery, so she can talk and smoke at the same time. So every time she talks, there's a new puff of smoke.
Oh Lord, tentacle sex. Here we go.
Well, Dayton, I don't know if I told you this story. When I was in Iraq, well, no, because this was when I was in Iraq, this was the 2007 to 2009 tour. You know how when you're in the field and you're just having conversations and things just take a turn that you never quite expected them to turn. Well, it got that the conversation. The conversation between myself, my colonel, and our female E5 turned into she loved dolphins and how dolphins were the rapists of the sea, and she didn't believe it. So I got on the old Google machine and Googled dolphin rape. Well, about an hour later, the G6 came down, and for those that don't know, the G6 is the people in charge of the computers. They're the ones in charge of all the networks, and they're like,
in charge of communications and whatever.
Yeah, and they were like, look, we understand you guys are the historians, and certain things pop up on our radar, but why the fuck are you looking up dolphin rape?
You got to look it right in the face without batting eye deep background research.
Well, no, I looked at him and I said, she doesn't believe that dolphins are rapists of the sea, and it was a major, and he was like, what are you talking about? So by the end, we showed him the Google results of dolphin rape and dolphins raping humans and all of this, and he was like, I can't argue with anything you guys ever Google from now on. And he walked away.
Yeah, really. And don't ever call me again. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the other thing too, is, you joke about it. As a writer, you have to do research. So I'm Googling about weird things all the fucking time. Right. And for the example, the 24 novel, some of the search phrases that I'm looking at, how is the NSA not knocking on my door? It's like, because, I mean, if you've watched 24, then you know the kind of crap I'm talking about. It's not perverted. It's just things that are like, okay, please
that
look
every terrorist needs
to know. How do you make a nuclear weapon out of tinfoil and baking soda? That kind of shit. And so, I can't wait for that conversation to happen. I'm a writer. We'll explain the porn. Research. I'm writing a book.
Human trafficking.
Yeah. I'm writing a sequel to Taken. What do you want? So, it's
You
I
and
can't
who?
wait.
You and
I can't
what
wait
on?
for that conversation.
All right, Terry's back, so I will now read the newest Ask Dayton.
Okay. Did you see who's here?
No.
Our special guest this week, none other than the man, the myth, the legend,
Author extraordinaire.
just ask him, Dayton Ward.
Up in here. Up in here.
He's delicious.
The man is a sage.
Dayton Ward is here. Hi, Dayton.
Hello, Dayton.
Hello, Newman.
Mark just handed him his complimentary gin and tonic for the G&T show, so that's always good.
That's good.
Firefly vodka. See, if we knew he was coming, we would have taken him to the green room with the green women.
God damn it, go read the Ask Dayton.
Oh, Dayton.
Dayton. Dayton Ward is Grumpy Cat.
Dayton Ward, troller of trolls. He's such a diva.
Pay attention, Ask Dayton fans. Everybody got their pad and pencil ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Would you like to be a part of the Ask Dayton experience?
Send your questions to hosts@gntshow.com.
Number 110. Can you believe it, Dayton? 110.
Well, it took forever to get to one from 109. Like, what?
It did.
We were, over the holidays, I wasn't going to bother you.
You were a little bit.
Dear Date, there's a series of books, almost like Pulp, called Mac Bolan the Executioner. If you were casting it, who would you cast? And would you do like The Walking Dead and create a new universe based on it? Or would you follow the book series?
All right. So, well, hey there, G&T Show. Long time no talk. How the fuck have you been? 2015's off to a bit of a sprint, isn't it? I mean, here it is, February goddamn 1st already, so somebody grab that calendar by its taint and tell it to slow the hell down. Note, I'm including the word taint here for Terry, because I know you like that word.
I do.
For those wondering from where in the name of Poseidon's ball sack this first Ask Dayton question of 2015 came, you can blame Nick. He and I were bullshitting on Facebook the other day, and we were talking about books, and somehow the topic veered over to Mac Bolan and other books of its kind. Wham! Instant Ask Dayton. I have no idea if some other worthier query was bumped from the queue in order to accommodate Nick's impulse question, and if that's the case, then hopefully we'll get to that soon enough. So, Mac Bolan. For those not in the know, Bolan is a creation of writer Don Pendleton for a long-running series of books called The Executioner. In short, Bolan is an ex-military badass who spends pages of these various novels shooting, stabbing, punching, kicking, and blowing the shit out of assorted bad guys. Terrorists, communists, drug dealers, gun runners, whatever. If you need somebody or somebody blowed up real good, Mac Bolan is your man. The first Executioner novel, War Against the Mafia, was published in 1969, and since then, Bolan has appeared in more than 600 such books. Pendleton wrote the first 37 of these, after which a revolving door of ghostwriters have come along to continue the adventures. To this day, there's a new Executioner book published every month, just like a Harlequin romance, and there also have been a handful of successful spin-off series featuring characters and groups that Bolan works with to extend his campaign of shooting, stabbing, punching, kicking, and blowing the shit out of assorted bad guys. I came to know the Executioner in the early to mid-1980s, at which time Bolan and two spin-off series, Able Team and Phoenix Force, and Nick knows these, were going full tilt boogie.
Yeah.
This was my introduction to the genre of pulp fiction known as men's adventure, and it's probably not unreasonable to say that I think I was born a few years too late. If I'd been writing back then, I'd for sure have gravitated toward writing such books, because damn, they were fun. In those days, there were whole sections of bookstores devoted to this stuff, with Bolan titles offered alongside the likes of Remo Williams, a.k.a. The Destroyer, Nick Carter, The Killmaster, Casca the Eternal Mercenary, and so on and so forth, to name just a few off the prominent players. These books were like the best of the 80s action movies, but with all that next character growth and introspection that so defined this quality era of cinematic entertainment. Wait, I said that out loud. Hell, I picked up a few older Bolan books the other day at a used bookstore, just because. And yes, I've given more than one thought to trying my hand at such a book, because again, fun. We pause here for station identification in order to bring you another uttering of the word taint. There have been rumors for years about adapting the property for film. The latest word is that Flavor of the Month Bradley Cooper has been tapped for the role of Mac Bolan in a film set to start production soon, I say in air quotes. I could see that working, though until recently he was largely known for the Hangover movies. Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle showed me that he had better acting chops than most folks were led to believe. The A-Team movie remake showed he could do an action story, and if American Sniper doesn't convince you the dude can act, I can't help you. So yeah, I think he could make a decent Mac Bolan. As for adhering to the books, that's a good question. The Executioner novels have a sort of comic book-like quality to them, in that Bolan never really ages, even though the world around him changes as new novels continue to be published. The character's never really been full-scale rebooted. Instead, there's a lot of ongoing James Bond-esque retconning that happens in order to keep him contemporary. For example, his origins as a Vietnam vet have been subtly downplayed as the years keep adding up. It stands to reason that his origin story would be updated for a contemporary film, likely making him a veteran of the wars in Iraq or Afghanistan. And we go from there. Much of the meat comprising Bolan's backstory is definitely usable, though in need of updating to varying degrees as appropriate, and the books are chock full of springboards for enough movies to keep us busy until the asteroid hits. Bring all that shit, bring it hard. Just make a movie that's entertaining. Is that so much to ask? And please keep the books coming. Oh, and taint.
Taint!
Thanks, Dayton.
I could see Tom Jane playing Mac Bolan.
You know, that's a big one that people seem to go to because he did the Punisher, which
I
is
thought
a
he
very
was
a character
really
that's
good as
very
the
similar to Mac Bolan.
And
It's funny that you said that because when you two were talking at the very beginning and you were talking about the Executioner, my brain thought Punisher.
I don't know who came first. It's very close in terms of which character came first because they both were created around the same time, but they're
and have the same kind of backstory.
They had the same kind of backstory. Their family was killed by drug dealers, and they go on a tear. Bolan's mission has evolved over the years to involve counterterror and all kinds of crap, but I don't know which one came first. I think Mac Bolan came first, but it was, and I don't know if the Punisher was a conscious way of riffing on that or not. I really don't know, but his character got updated because he was also a Vietnam era vet at the time, and now I think in the reboot he wasn't even a military guy, or if he was, there was no mention of a particular conflict. I think he was just a military guy who turned DEA or something. But I think in the modern comics he's a Iraq war vet from the first Gulf War. This is because I don't think he's been rebooted recently, has he? I don't follow.
Not that I know of.
But I mean, it's a very similar type of character. I mean, but Bolan is one of those. It's it's gun porn. I mean, there are pages and pages of, and Nick knows this. There are pages of descriptions of the effectiveness of this particular weapon as it rips apart a guy. It's like I can see guys buying these books and taking home a bottle of CLP to whap off to.
and it was a huge deal in the early '80s when they had their first Phoenix Force Able Team Mac Bolan crossover. The Stony Man Doc. I'll remember that.
I still have a couple. I still have some of those books, and now I know a couple people who write them.
You're right. Were whole sections.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, Casca and
what happened? Did it just
kind of died out?
Did it just run its course? Or?
No, there's, like I said, Bolan is still getting published. There's still at least one book a month. They publish 15 or 16 new Bolan books a year. They do the monthlies, which are kind of short, and then they do a couple of bigger ones where the stories are a little bit bigger. But they still crank them out. I mean, to this day, there's a cabal of ghostwriters who all contribute books to that series. Keith the Canada wrote a couple
somehow
that
what?
That's right. He did say that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it used to be that
somehow that makes me feel good. That
what
used to be what?
No, I was gonna say it used to be that you wrote those as a ghostwriter and you didn't say anything, but now it's sort of an open secret. That you can say, yeah, I'm writing a Mac Bolan book. I mean, it's just changed. I mean, like I know 2 or 3 people on Facebook who have done them or are doing them. So they're still out there. I mean, they're like Harlequin romances, man. They have their audience, and people still buy them, and people still go to. I think they even have conventions. They're not nearly like San Diego or anything like that, but they have little gatherings where they do it just like a lit con, but the focus is that kind of book. And there's a couple of pages on Facebook where it's devoted to those things.
So kind of like Honor Harrington stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the comic writers of the day, like right now, like Chuck Dixon, who's known for stuff like G.I. Joe and a few other things he's created himself. He writes those kind of books on his own. He self-publishes his own version of that kind of story.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because that reminded me of something I was going to say earlier. When we were talking about San Diego Comic-Con, if y'all don't listen to Fat Man on Batman, which is Kevin Smith's podcast about Batman, some of the guests he's had on talking about going to San Diego like in the 80s when it really was just a comic book convention and being there as it's grown. It's really, really interesting to hear them talk about that.
New York has still got even New York, they call it New York Comic Con, but even the comics focus there is still a portion of what's going on compared to collectibles and gaming and TV and
Baltimore is still very much a Comic-Con. Like all the panels were like Gail Simone and the writers and the artists and I really this year was my first Baltimore Comic-Con and I really enjoyed it.
Cool. I've never been to one, but I mean
it's fun. It's big. It's big. It's the
I'd like to do the
Baltimore
Salt Lake City
Convention Center.
The Salt Lake
City looks like a fun one.
Does sound like
I would love to go to that.
The one we had here is it's small. But it's fun.
Which one is that?
Albuquerque Comic Con.
Oh, Albuquerque. Yeah, I mean, I actually got approached I think it was last year, the year before. We were at Starfest, and a guy walked up, apparently associated with that convention. He was trolling for guests to come fill out his author's alley. But a lot of the times I have to politely say no to shows like that because they want they're not going to cover anything in terms of expenses, and and on top of
they just don't have the overhead. They don't have. They don't have the capital.
Yeah, but I mean, they won't even on top of having to get there. They want me to rent space.
Oh, please!
I'm like, I can't.
Oh,
if I don't not making any money, or if I'm going in the hole to do this, and that's not even before we calculate how much writing time I've lost.
Right.
Because there's a dollar value on that, at least in my head. It's not worth it. I go to shows like Starfest because they treat it. Well, number one, it's like those guys are like family.
I was going to say that you're close to them.
They've treated us like a member of their family since day one, and this is 13 years later, and they take very good care of us. But we also work pretty well for them over the weekend. We do stuff for them throughout the weekend, not just panels related to our writing. I mean, we participate in costume contest judging and emceeing on stage, and basically whatever they ask us to do, we're like, sure, as long as I don't have to get naked, I'm probably going to do it. And I might even do that. If
even then,
who's involved?
I got a fiver.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
it's fun.
Talking about the cons and stuff, there was recently a pretty big, nerd controversy where a couple of artists were complaining about the cosplayers at the cons.
Oh,
Did you see
really?
that?
I saw something about it, but I didn't get into it.
That
I'm like,
they
I
are
don't
taking
understand.
away. Yeah, they're taking away. The cosplayers are taking away from the traffic to the writers and the artists because, and that they're not really fans. And I was like, wow.
I really don't have a lot of patience or tolerance for those kinds of comments or that type of quote argument, because you're basically arguing about who's the better nerd at that point, and I got no patience for that. The people who are going to show up to be in costume weren't going to come to your table anyway. So, they're there to provide atmosphere and to enhance the environment of the show. Right. I mean, and people have always gone to costume or conventions in costume. I mean, this is not a new thing. Now,
and
the attention it might be getting is fairly new. I mean, in terms of let's make a whole TV show out of it and let's have costume content. But costumes and conventions go together like cream and coffee. I mean, you can't do one without the other. I don't buy it.
One of the comic sellers said that somebody came in and asked about a character. Oh, Doctor Strange, because Cumberbatch has been cast as Doctor Strange.
Right.
And they came in and looking at the stuff because they wanted to cosplay it because they love the costume, but they knew nothing about Doctor Strange. So the seller said, "You don't even know. Get out of my area."
And see, that's stupid.
And not the least of which is that's exactly who you should be selling these things
exactly
to.
And a lot of the response was probably the opposite of what the seller thought. Was like, you had the chance to educate and turn a new reader on and say, this is the character.
It's not even about educating. Fuck that guy. You don't presume to educate me. I'm a potential customer. You got a chance to welcome me into the fold.
Right.
And you just fucked me over because you're some sort of half-ass gatekeeper, you overweight, ungroomed prick. So I'm like, if a 12-year-old kid walks up to my table at a convention and he wants to know about Star Trek, I'm not going to get on his ass because he just showed up because he just saw the Cumberbatch flick.
Thank you.
This is a potential fan.
Yeah.
There's a reason that comic book stores are populated by 40-something people like me. It's because we push away everybody else. And I say that my demographic.
Well, and think of the amount of think about the amount of money that guy cost himself. That person could have walked away with a stack of Doctor Strange.
And you could have given him
research material.
Even if you sold him one discount trade paperback phone book of the black and white collections that they have for all the major Marvel characters, because they've done that, right? They've made them inexpensive. The essential Doctor Strange, one book, $10. The guy's got everything he needs to know about the character.
You see, to me, I see this or I hear this and I think this is like somebody who's come in to a Star Trek convention because they saw the JJ films and that somehow it's the same thing. It's like somehow the same people who come out and go, oh, you're just a JJ fan. Nick and I and everybody else knows damn well that a lot of those people who were brought to Star Trek by the JJ films have fallen in love with the original series.
Even if they don't, who cares?
Who cares? They're still Star Trek fans.
They're still Star Trek. Everybody's
don't get me started.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mikey.
Everybody's somewhere. There's a kid out here who's going to go see The Force Awakens, and that'll be his first real exposure to Star Wars.
Exactly
he's going to be hooked for life, unless some dick like me pushes him away because he's not a real fan. I can't stand these people.
Oh,
it's not his fault. He's only 12 or whatever.
If you had been dating women instead of at the comic store 20 years ago, he'd be there.
You've only seen The Dark Knight Rises, because it just came out. You're not. Oh my God, really?
Unless you can tell me who
give him the 75 years of myth.
Unless you can tell me who the bad guy was in the 1941 Batman serial. Fuck you, okay?
I used to have that on
man.
DVD.
I can't stand them. I got no patience for them.
I used to have that black and white serial on DVD. I don't know what happened to it.
It was so and I run into this all
awesomely
the time.
horrible.
I bet.
Whenever you post a topic on Facebook about, this movie's being rebooted or this TV show's coming back or whatever, and of course there's always that contingent, and I'm just like, nobody cares, man. Somewhere there's
I saw
a kid
your blog
out there
about that.
Yeah. And your blog.
Yeah.
I read your blog about that.
I'm just like, somebody out there is going to grab onto this character in this new incarnation, and they're going to go and look back at what came before, and they're going to.
It's like all the hoopla that's coming out now with the all-female cast of the Ghostbusters.
I don't even understand that. I'm just like, it's been 30 years, people. Get the fuck over it. I guess it's because it's just stories get retold, man. Ask Moses how that shit works. I don't understand.
Well, Dayton, you know Kelly Metting, right?
Yeah. It's again,
I had not read urban fantasy, but because I started dating Kelly, it opened up my whole. Could you imagine if Kelly had said, "Oh no, you if you don't know, I can't. I don't want to know." No,
you didn't.
She was like, read the Mercy Thompson series, and oh my God, I have fallen in love with which opened up Linda Poitvian's stuff for me. So like now this urban fantasy world has opened up for me, and I'm loving it.
I remember going to a conference once, and it was our convention, and the topic was, introducing a new generation to science fiction. And of course, there was the usual looking down at the nose at science fiction movie and science fiction TV and Star Trek novels and Star Wars novels and comic books, because everybody was like, the classics and blah, blah, blah. And, they were trying to figure out how, and of course, any mention of that stuff was negative. It was denigrating. It was, they're lesser thans. And I'm like, so your whole sales pitch is, hey, dumbass, you should be reading this. Otherwise, you're not a real, that's your whole sales pitch. You're too stupid to appreciate the classics. And I'm like, you know what? I've read Star Trek and I've read those books. I like some of those books and some of them are shit. So you need to, embrace it's like, okay, so you like Star Wars or you like Star Trek. Well, then you might like The Lensman, or you might like, if you're into military science fiction, Mike Cole or somebody like that. It's like, the whole gatekeeper thing, I just don't get it, because these are the same people who got their underwear jammed up into their foreheads in high school and shoved into a locker. So now it's like they're paying back. It's like, okay, now I'm the one who gets to be the asshole.
You nailed it. That's exactly what it is, Dayton.
I can't understand how we're fighting each other over this crap. We should be embracing. And today will be chock full of everybody who's a genre fan or a geek of some kind pissing off on the fact that today is the Super Bowl. And I'm like, don't whine to me about you getting picked on for comic books, okay?
I ranted about that earlier, Dayton.
We did. We both did.
About that earlier.
I will. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch $6 Million Man or Star Wars or whatever my kids want to do to pass the time before, and then at 5:30 I'm watching the fucking football game. So I'm kind of like the genre whisperer. I can reach between the two sides there. But gatekeepers piss me off, and thankfully, I will recommend my local comic shop. They are a couple of the guys who do it right. They are a very welcoming atmosphere for anybody.
That's exactly like.
Yeah, I
I'm sorry to miss it. I am. Alan and I were hoping that we could make it this year, but unfortunately, I don't know.
What's that?
It's Starfest?
Oh no, I'm just saying that Starfest is a very welcoming atmosphere for the costuming and all. But I'm saying my local comic shop here in Wood Summit, where I live, I happened to be in there one day, and it's run by the same kind of guys you'd expect to see in a comic shop. Guys my age or a little younger, mostly guys. But a girl walked in, and she was probably, 25, 26, and she was asking about, and I didn't hear what she was asking about. It was just she was asking about something, and the guy who was working behind the counter came out from behind the counter, walked her back to the back section, wherever it was, whatever she was looking for, and proceeded to walk her down the aisle and ask, what are you interested in? Or do you like so-and-so? Or we've got this. And he spent like 15 minutes talking to her. And she walked out of there with about $50 worth of stuff.
That's exactly where I go. About when Winter Soldier came out, a girl, I would have to say she was about 14 or 15, came in with her father, and she was all about Black Widow. So all she knew was from Winter Soldier.
Sure.
Because that was the first one she had bothered to watch. And I think she had gone with her father because she lost a bet or something, but she fell in love with it. Sure. And so, of course, John is the guy that owns it. He came out and took her and showed her, Black Widow's got her own title and everything, and then took her over to the trade paperback section and introduced her to all of that. And the father was as happy as could be, and they walked out with a stack of stuff. And every week now, guess who's in there on Wednesday when I go in? That girl and her father. And now she's like, she discovered discovered the Sandman, which made me so happy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so
But I mean, getting back to your question about the cosplayers and if they're bad or good for conventions, I don't see how they can be anything but good for conventions. They bring foot traffic. They bring an awareness to the convention because people will come out to see the costume contest, or they'll want to dress up, and otherwise, where they wouldn't go before, now they'll go because a group of them will go in costume and they'll get to do whatever for that weekend, and they get to kind of unleash a little bit. The same way you do when you dress up, when you paint your belly and go to a football game. Mm-hmm. So too does a cosplayer go to a convention.
Have you ever discovered a video game or a comic that you didn't know about because of a cosplayer? I have.
I haven't. No, not necessarily that. I mean, other than being introduced to a character I didn't know about. I mean, it's not like I don't know if it's translated to me running out and buying something, but.
No, but just being like, who the hell is that? And going up and asking
that
them.
happens all the time because I'll see something and I'll stop that person because they'll walk past our table and I'll say, who are you portraying? And they'll tell me who it is. And I get a kick out of it. I think it's awesome. I love seeing the effort that's put into costumes. I don't take photographs, and I don't, if I was smart, I would find a couple of young people who were dressed up really good Star Trek costumes and use them as promotional help, to feature a book or whatever. If I was that smart, because there's always that. But as far as, it's kind of like a generational thing. That's what this new generation of fans, that's what they're into, is the cosplay. So rather than fighting it and whining about it, find a way to coexist with it, or if not, tap into it. I don't see the problem. I love the fact that conventions bring families now. You see grandparents, 3 or 4 generations of people walking around a convention as a family, checking things out. That's cool. I don't understand this mentality where we have to exclude people. I don't get it. Never will.
I think you hit it. It's the we were mocked and excluded. Now it's our chance.
I guess. I don't know. I got my 2 girls are getting to the point where they want to participate in not only do they want to come with me to the show, they want to dress up, they want to put on costumes, and they want to play. And I'm like, okay, now I got to be ready to beat the ass of everybody in the fucking hotel. So that's the only downside to that, is like, I'm not ready. I don't know if Dad's ready for that, but because I'm like, because there's still the issue of harassment at conventions that's still very real.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can only imagine myself beating you with the box of books I brought in from my trunk because you harassed my daughter. So, or my daughter will beat your ass before I can get my
I was going to say, aren't they black belts?
Before you get your turn.
I'm getting a little old for this kind of thing. So hopefully by the time this becomes a problem.
You're raising black, though.
Yeah. So I love that whole thing. I think I can't. For one thing, more people are showing up at conventions than they used to, right?
Very true.
Yeah.
I know the vendors, the people who, my thing is, if they're not buying what you're selling, sell something else.
Welcome to the world of
find
business.
a way to attract them, because you're not selling. You're just throwing it out there, and you're like, and there are people who do that. They'll throw it out there and then they'll shrug their shoulders like nobody's buying. Well, nobody gives a shit. They don't know who you are. They don't, how are you remaining relevant? I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why we would turn people away, particularly from these types of activities where we preach inclusiveness.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we need to bring in.
We've been here way longer than you want to be.
Well, that is true, but we do have another person late. We're bringing in, and they're going to be making a few announcements about some of the projects that they've got going on. So you get to hang with us for a few more minutes.
I'll shut up while that other person talks.
Welcome, Gingy.
Oh, welcome, Gingy. Oh, God.
I think we caught him off guard.
Did we?
Surprise!
Ross?
Swimming.
It makes great radio, doesn't it?
Oh, my God.
Swimming.
Ross, are you there, sweetheart? I wonder if he had to run to the bathroom.
He's waiting 20 seconds for it to catch up on the stream. He doesn't realize.
Oh, Gingy. And Marshawn Lynch is just here, so he won't get fined. That guy's been cracking me up all day, and it's probably my husband.
No, because your husband's right there with him.
Natalie Dormer as Captain Marvel. That looks phenomenal, that poster.
Who's in here as Marshawn Lynch?
It's probably my husband. He probably has 2 accounts open.
No, because look, he's below.
No,
because Euro's below Marshawn.
Oh, 2 accounts.
He probably has 2 accounts.
Cracks me up.
That's probably my husband.
I should have opened.
That's all Marshawn has said all day.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
The Brady guy was in here for a while as well.
Yeah, but he had to go squeeze his balls.
Excuse you.
Kate, did we lose Gingy?
Last call for Gingy.
Well, there's other things that we can talk about in the meantime.
Go for it, Mike.
Trek News Network. I got an article, you got an article, and I also got a short story posted on there this week. So I'll include links to those in the show notes. Gates of Sto-Vo-Kor, our season premiere, it should be out this week. I'm hoping to have it out by tomorrow. I'm waiting on some narration from Elijah, but as soon as I get that in, we'll be releasing it. So look for our season premiere. It's called Revenge. It's for dinner.
Hello.
Hi,
Does it
Ginny.
taste like chicken?
Push to talk. I forgot about that.
Squirrel.
Oh.
Ross is with us. Welcome, Gingy.
Thank you.
Mike, keep going.
Actually, we can let Gingy talk.
That'd be great.
He can fill everyone in on
What's going on,
Bone.
Ginge?
Well, let's see. Let me get my thoughts together. I'm still kind of waking up. Spent a bit too long last night playing Five Nights at Freddy's, so sleep.
You know,
did not
you're
come.
really putting that whole Navy to get to you, they got to get through us thing really to the test right now.
I love it.
All right,
I'm confused.
Let's see. The big announcement. Blood of the Near is a new show that Busy Little Beaver is putting out. A spin-off of Gates of Sto-Vo-Kor and based in the Romulan Republic in Star Trek Online. We have finally exited pre-production and ready to start production. All of our scripts are ready, and we have put out a open casting call.
Yay!
So we are looking for voices to fill our principal and supporting cast.
Yeah, I got the email.
Oh, good. You expressed some interest early on. I've got a spot for you if you want it.
If not, we have
Play
an
like
opening.
a cranky Romulan commander.
Of course, Cranky Romulan. Hello.
Perfect.
Our commander is going to be a bit of a surprise. Don't want to reveal everything right away, but I think people will be pretty happy with it. In addition to the open casting call, I've talked it over with Mike, and we are looking for artists to help contribute to this project. I've already got some commissions lined up, but I'd also like to announce a contest, an art-related contest. We are
Cool.
looking for someone to help us create a logo for the show, as most of our emblems for it so far are poorly made Photoshop things that I mix up in an hour or so.
Or stole from the web.
Or stolen from the web or from Stowe.
Yeah, they're placeholders.
As a prize for this contest, I have several options. For Stowe players, I have either a Tal Shiar adapted the battleship, or the Elachi Dreadnought.
Those are worth quite a bit of EC in game. So
Yes, yeah, no
kidding.
Even if you don't want them, you can sell it and buy one that you want.
40 million something EC, I think, last time I checked. But if you don't play Stowe, I have an alternative for you as well. An Amazon gift card valued at $60.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice.
And you can use that card by going to the G&T link and spending it via that way. Just saying.
And you don't have to buy anything G&T related. You don't have to spend any extra money. They just kick a little money back our way and help us.
By the way, and Dayton just puts in the chat room, by the way, Elachi Dreadnought is the name of my new band.
My new band is Moses and his Bongos, but that's something totally different.
Let's see. If you're looking for information on Blood of the Near, or Bone as we call it, our website is bonromshow.com.
So that's BONROMSHOW.com.
Let's see. We also have a Facebook and Twitter.
And what's your Twitter account? Bon Rom Show?
Yes, the Twitter account's the same name, and just look up Blood of the Near on Facebook, and it should come right up.
And you have a Facebook page as well?
Yes.
And we'll have all of those links in the show notes for you, everybody. So if you're looking to audition or take, do a little voiceover work, they can certainly use the talent.
We have plenty of voices to go around, so everyone's welcome to submit an audition.
Sweet. Is there anything in particular people should be putting in their, say, demo reels when they send them to you? What kind of voices are you looking to hear? Yeah, Cash.
Cash would be nice.
Cash would be nice.
We have a pretty diverse range of roles, so if you have something that you think might be interesting, just go ahead and submit it to either site. Also, if you send an email to us at staff@bonromshow.com, I can send you the audition slates for the show.
Great. Well, yay! Thank you very much, Gingy.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having
Congratulations
me
on
here.
the show. I think it's great.
It's been a long road getting it together. Been over a year that we've been working on it, with delays for one thing or another.
Yeah, and we're trying to get it. We're trying to get things going because sadly, Gingy's going to be leaving us for a short time, which would cause even more delays. So we have this.
Your orders.
So yes, we have this window.
So
we have a window that we have to get as much
things
time.
are getting in the way again.
Which side of the universe are you going to be on this time, Gingy?
Pacific again.
Okay, cool.
And I just want to take the opportunity to now thank you guys. The podcast that I was able to download definitely got me through, especially Dayton's 50th. Ask Dayton. That I was stuck with that one for about 3 months only.
Oh.
The only podcast I had for about 3 months. So I listened to that one quite a lot.
Wow. Sorry, bro.
All right. Wait, I think we're going to have to get you some stuff on USB stick, so at least you'll be able to carry stuff with you, man.
I don't even remember back when we did Ask Dayton 50. That's like a whole kid ago.
Not 50, it was 100. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's when you were still working at your day job.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay.
Yeah, it was
100.
100.
Okay.
Whoops.
We
That's
didn't
all right.
improve much in the 50 between. So,
and this time I won't drop my Nook in the toilet.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, I heard about. I remember
that'd be bad.
That was bad.
Thank you guys for the support with that. When that happened, that was a real big help. I was panicking for a while there.
I'm glad we were able to get it out to you. All right.
Right on.
We need to wrap things up. And Dayton, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm sorry. I'm asking Marshawn Lynch questions in the chat.
is he responding with "I'm just here to get fined"?
I'm just here so I won't get fined. Is the answer every time. I said, Marshawn, ever drop your Nook in a toilet? I'm just here so I won't get fined.
It's gonna be my catchphrase for the day. In fact, I'm gonna
fucking. And, he took a lot of shit for that. Fucking brilliant marketing.
I was gonna say everybody's talking about him, right?
That's right.
Don't get me started on the NFL fining him for his hat. Yeah, because they're gonna lose any money for him wearing his hat.
Fuck the NFL. Sorry. I mean, I love football, but fuck the NFL.
I'm with you.
They need to start paying taxes like the rest of us.
Fining the Seahawks quarterback for wearing Beats headphones because they're not the official. Really? So now, yeah.
I don't wear Beats headphones because they send spam to my blog and I can't stand them. So and they're shitty headphones. So
well, I got mine for free when I bought something else.
And you still got ripped off.
Yeah.
And their crappy product placement during the last Transformers movie.
Oh my God, you guys. All right.
We have a great supplemental coming up.
Yes, we do.
I needed some laughs, so I requested this one, and yay, it's happening.
That's right. We're going to be interviewing Kipley Brown and James Sherwin again. That'll be coming up on after February 8th is when the edited version of the show will go live. And then after that, we have a couple of others on deck, and I have a call to make regarding a Miss Vernon, I believe.
Yes, Kate Vernon.
Cool. Well, everybody, that's it for episode 177. It was a wonderful, long, great conversation with Dayton Ward, New York Times
Many thanks to you,
best-selling
Mr.
author.
Ward.
Thank you.
You could just cut out that one piece and just make it a supplemental log and keep your other show kind of in line with reality.
We'll be good.
That's when Swallow comes on. We do that.
Okay.
And Gingy from Blood of a Deer, thank you very much for joining us. And your contest, all of the links for the contest, for the logo, as well as the contact information on how you can do a voice in their fun audio production will be on our show notes. Thank you for joining us as well.
You're very welcome. Always glad to be here. Live long and aloha.
All right, live long and prosper.
Joe Lontrue, fucktards.
Hey.
Music for the G&T show is provided by Warp 11, Grethor, 5-Year Mission, and Andrew Allen's Smooth Federation.
G&T Show is a busy little beaver production.
Gonna take a 5-year tour. Boldly go where no man's gone before. Gonna travel to the end and make new friends. Move ahead, walk back to 10. Put a mini skirt on my old man. Represent the human race There'll be no cons or Kobayashi. I'm gonna travel to the end and make new friends with aliens. Totally go where no man's gone before. Space heavy. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero G.